Sussy-amogus. Plat Chat Overwatch episode 133. That's it. That's your job.
That's the intro.
That was the intro.
You're up, Josh.
Oh, wow. How am I going to follow that one? Oh, well, what a spectacular warm-up act, huh, guys? All right. Well, big hand for Bren. Big hand for Bren. Yeah. Okay. There are things to celebrate, though. It's Plat Chat Overwatch episode 133, and we actually have some goddamn Overwatch 2 news to discuss. What a fucking sick moment.
Why do you sound so...
Why are you guys swearing so much?
Sorry, I'm desperately trying to get this demonetized. I don't want to earn any money. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I woke up on the wrong side of bed this morning, apparently. And then...
you sound like you've just woken up and... you. Nah, don't bother.
I mean, I think you're just dehydrated because that combined with you don't drink water, and then there's dysentery running amok in Austin to where everyone's shitting their brains out at the same time. That's just there. You just don't. There's no water left in your body. You are simply an empty vacuole.
If you live in a permanently dehydrated state, you won't even be able to tell when you haven't drank enough water. And eventually you'll just go down the path of becoming a human crisp.
Yeah.
That's the pathway that I'm walking down.
I was going to compare you to a grizzled veteran waking up in the war camps. The people pounding the mud into sludge outside early morning. The horns bellowing.
I've
been going to bed.
To do that.
I've been going to bed reading a lot of fantasy. so I've got it on the mind. And then I stopped myself, but
No, you didn't stop yourself. Let's be clear.
This is exactly where we are.
When I stopped my comparison, you got very confused. So I thought I'd give you a bit of context, but I wouldn't go all the way.
You know what? It's such a good job we're doing these live, and we can't possibly redo the intro at all. Yeah. Hey, everybody. Hey, we're doing these live, by the way. So, yeah, what's up? Hello, welcome. Well, I actually have, listen, for the first time ever, I have the ability to interact with you guys, all right? But I'm not going to do it very often.
Why would you do that?
Because, okay, listen, there have been people saying things like, why are we even doing it live?
Yeah, one could make the argument of like, why are we live just to farm members? Like, why are we live exactly?
And I say to that, no, we are not live just to farm members. Also to farm super chats, and that is the main method by which you can get in touch. Listen, if I'm going to read the chat the entire time, these episodes are going to take 4 hours.
True.
But if you send me a super chat and it's something interesting and additive to the discussion, then we will incorporate it in. What
Not
that does
every
mean
time.
is I'm going to make a value judgment about that when it pops up. So listen, if you send me a message and I don't interact with it, wasn't a very good message.
Well, I mean, that's just like this. I mean, you know what? No, we're gonna save this for the business meeting after. I'm like, that's a great system. Yeah, I'm gonna save this for the business meeting after. We'll discuss this in the boardroom after this one. Sure. Yeah, we'll roll with it.
Dude, what? So, anyway, listen, little sprinkling of interactivity. But frankly, the important thing this week is Overwatch 2. They've given us a release date for it. They have given us a trailer for it. They've said there's a massive announcement going to happen in 2 days' time. So, as with always, we're going to miss the bulk of all of this information, but we're going to wildly speculate and talk about expectations for it, and that'll do. And then we'll do a recap next time around. Someone's hammering on the front door and ringing the bell. No, it's not a skit. I mean, as far as I'm aware, it's not a skit. Not unless Kurt cooked something up.
I mean, you have such a ridiculously animated reaction.
Yeah, this is a lot.
Yeah, just play the trailer. I don't know what that is.
It's you know, when I heard this music again from this trailer, it felt like when I watched like that the Masters for Valorant and like Crew was doing well. I felt emotions again, you know, a little bit. Like, I feel like I go long months without feeling anything. Anyone else in that boat? And then you just then a moment pops up and you feel again. That was what this trailer did for me.
I feel like I woke up from a fever dream that has been the last 3 years of our lives, where it's been like we've been stuck inside. Overwatch hasn't released anything new in the last 3 years. And I've just been like, as you said, I'm motionless in my room. But, you know, especially when Junker Queen comes on and like there's like a little bit of cinematic, and they said that the Junker Queen cinematic's going to be coming out on Thursday. Like, I don't know. It just gets me super hype and makes me optimistic again, which is a dangerous thing because I've been burnt so many times by Overwatch.
Addict says he's been burnt by Overwatch, continues to interact with it every day of every day of every hour.
Happy to be here, guys.
What's happening outside? Sorry, you guys.
Dude, where did
told you about
Josh
the trailer,
go?
And I've been trying to keep an ear out for what the fuck just happened outside.
Dude, I mean,
what just happened?
Okay, knock on the door, ringing the bell, and I'm thinking, okay, well, it's going to be like a package or something, but I should go and check. I don't live here, but open the door. International Refugee Committee. I'm like, oh, I've walked into something that's going to take a while. And this guy's like, just talking. And I'm like, it's a very good cause, so I don't want to cut you off, but also, fuck off. I'm trying to do a podcast. So I'm like, go and talk next door. They'll like it. Just giving it to Beth. Just
under the bus.
Go and talk to my wife. She'll figure it out. so yeah. Oh, dude, what a weird way to begin the day.
What is going on this morning? Anyway, there was a trailer. You guys were talking. I wasn't listening.
Oh, me? I was just talking about how it made me emotional.
Lamenting.
Yeah,
we were lamenting. We talked about how we had no emotions.
Yeah,
that was Scott. I was more of like a psychopathic, like American Psycho type of vibe, where I was like, I haven't felt thing in months. Last time I felt was when Crew was doing well, and then now I felt again here. So that was kind of like my take on this. This is actually really cool. Also, something live. We're live, so we could do this. By the way, but we'll talk about it later. But they just announced that the beta is going to open up again on June 28th.
Oh, well, literally, they've just announced that right now.
Just announced it. Just now.
So
literally just now, but it's
June
live,
16th?
so we can add it.
Wait,
June 6th.
When is the beta coming back?
The beta comes back June 28th, which is 14 days, 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Another 2 weeks before the beta comes
that's a
back.
long time.
That is a
but
long time.
That's what it is. But
at least it is coming back.
It's coming back. Wait, let's slot this later. Let's first talk release trailer. Let's slot this later. Let's talk.
Thank you,
trailer.
host.
So,
My brain,
don't worry.
My brain has been scrambled.
That was just very strange. We lived here for like 2 years, never had anything like that at the door ever.
What happened? It was literally just a.
Let's please.
Just like a
I
charity
think
organization.
we need to talk about it to digest it, and then we can move on.
For God's sake. Yes, it was two guys who came over asking, presumably, if we could help with some refugee, probably looking for a donation, although I'm not exactly sure that was
but
the case.
They just went into the spiel.
They went into the spiel, and I was
I kept hearing you say, sorry, no, we're working right now.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're working right now. No, sorry, we're working right now.
I stood up and he's like, oh, hey, another guy. Do you want to help? I'm like, sorry, we're working right now.
Listen, a very effective spiel, and also very guilty about just dono wall in the charity at the door.
We're doing a video game podcast, so that's like really important.
Yeah.
Exactly. It does make you
serious
reassess your
business.
life priorities a little, doesn't it? It does make you reassess just slightly.
The way you described it sounded like it was like ICE coming to take you away for being like an illegal immigrant or something. Like that's what it sounded like, was that you're about to be deported.
Serious.
And I was like,
serious.
I thought this was gonna be like a 21 Savage situation where they send him back to the UK. So, luckily, it wasn't.
Okay, bloody hell. All right.
Where are we?
Overwatch release trailer. So they made this announcement. Included in the announcement, it's free to play. Okay, the beta's coming back at some point as well. There's a new hero. We'll discuss all of that stuff later. Did this trailer give you the feels, the tingles, the joy in your blood, Scott?
Yeah, well, I was just talking about this one, like, did like a little bit, you know, it's like not fully awake yet. I think the Junker Queen, like, we also got a teaser of the Junker Queen trailer that's going to be coming up. I believe it's coming out on June 16th in a couple of days. That I'm really excited for because, like, I don't know about you guys, and I don't know why it's just an animated short that they've done in the past, but for some reason that just like, I attribute that to happiness of like Overwatch, and like that's like defined what I enjoyed about Overwatch, like that lore and that storyline. I usually don't give a crap about any of that stuff, but for some reason, every time we see a new one and like these new little bits that we've got, sort of making me feel like, oh yeah, this is my tweet that I made as well, just talking about. It's like I think the animated shorts are super important to making Overwatch 2 successful again, because I think that's one of the reasons people just don't feel connected to the game anymore. And I think so many people that I've talked to are like, the only reason I got into Overwatch is because of the shorts. And I'm like, well, that's weird, but okay, that's important for like some people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a very common situation with a lot of things as well, right? Like, that's one of the things that Blizzard does incredibly. Listen, I don't play World of Warcraft, but I've heard from people who do that a lot of their animated stuff was one of the biggest draws into that game as well. Sure. Yeah, the cinematics. I want to, first of all, just talk about, though, the date that they've put onto this. So, October 4th, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the release date for PvP.
That's the release date for
PvP.
the early access of PvP.
Right.
Yes.
When it feels like a shift in their marketing as well, a little bit, because previously, I mean, they have kind of been like dancing around the subject of the separation of the PvE and PvP, but now they've just put like a full-on date, and they're calling it like Overwatch 2. Like, their marketing says Overwatch 2 releases October 4th, being the PvP portion of things, right? Do you think this level of kind of putting a date on it, hyping it up, that kind of thing, is that what's been missing before? It feels like a shift, something to actually get people hyped instead of always trying to caveat your announcements.
I think before they had the idea of they wanted to release a whole new game, and they were going to package this whole thing up with the bells and whistles of PvE, PvP. It was all going to be released in one whole package, and then around the time of when Overwatch released, games as live service became kind of the norm. I'm like thinking of games like Path of Exile, for example, like Fortnite, like League of Legends, like any Riot game, basically.
Apex as well.
Apex. Yeah. You can name basically any modern multiplayer game became games as like a live service game that gets updates whenever on a semi-regular basis. And Blizzard was still operating in that releasing a new game, releasing a whole new thing kind of mentality. So they've had to make this pivot at some point where now, because they've announced that the game is going to be a live service game, essentially, right? With the PvP part of it.
Yes.
They announced at some point they did that. I'm not just leaking something, right?
No, they announced that a while back. Yeah. It was going to be like that.
So I think it just took a while for the marketing to catch up. But then there's always the risk now of that backfiring, where people are like, wow, we waited so and so many years for this. And it's like the PvP portion, where the PvE is going to be separate. And then
well, that's kind of the question that I'm asking. Do you think this is going to be effective at hyping up the fan base? Because, you know, listen, there's no surprise, or it's not a secret, rather. There's a lot of doomers out there when it comes to Overwatch. People loving to hate everything that comes out. But this is quite succinct. I mean, the PvP portion is going to be released at a certain date with at least one new hero involved, but they've said it's going to be multiple, right? They said in the announcement there was going to be like a few. They used the plural.
Did they?
Yeah, they said they said heroes, and then they just showed Junker Queen as a new tank.
That could mean Sojourn and Junker Queen.
Well, they also teased another hero in that opening cinematic, the little Jade Fox thing that's coming along. That is rumored to be the support. So I would say it's a safe assumption to say 3 heroes. Yeah, there you go. Find it.
There was fucking args and shit about this years ago.
What?
Yeah,
do you remember the Fox?
It's been in the works, for ages.
Fox stuff? This is like in 2018.
No, what?
There was there was like foxes and stuff. They were released like a blog post of some lore, and it's an essay. It was like a thing, but in like part of it there was like the fox stuff.
And that was 4 years ago.
This was years and years and years ago.
Yeah, a lot of these concepts, like Junker Queen's has been rumored for years as well.
Yeah.
Like
since
all
Junker
these
Town
heroes,
came out.
But you have to remember that the game essentially stopped doing anything after 2018. The game just ceased, and that was like all this been bottled up for all these years. You know, like everything's been bottled up for all these hero releases since 2018. So think about it. It kind of makes sense that you're seeing them now because everything's been bottled up this whole time.
People thought the Sombra ARG was a bit weird. I mean, that one takes the cake if they were teasing it in 2018 and then they bring out just a fox in 2022.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't really an ARG. It was more just like they were adding in bits of lore.
Right.
And the lore tied in this unknown entity/character. That was a fox.
Are any of you lore demons? Do you know more about this fox character that's been teased? Scott, you said it's rumored to be a support.
Yeah, well, that's just everyone's assumption. If they don't release a support as the next hero, I think every support player might just stop playing the game. But it seems like that's where people are going. The hero is related to Kanazaka in some way, the deathmatch map. I don't know anything else about that. I don't care about lore, if I'm being honest.
Lore heads.
I mean, they're in the trailer itself. It showed the people are like kind of suggesting that potentially it's going to be a hero similar. Now, obviously, this is like hard. Like we're examining the text and looking at the pausing the microseconds of the trailer, but like they made these gates, and it looks like there's like a speed boost mechanic as the fox goes through the gates. So they're kind of suggesting that. Trailer? That supposedly it might be like targeting like Lucio type of style of like it's a supportive character of some sort, but like I think it's like soon after this. Wait.
There's a gate.
Look.
Wait.
Oh. The gates.
Speed.
Yeah, maybe.
And then you see these particle effects on them. So
maybe.
So people are suggesting that maybe it's going to be something that's like similar vein. It's going to be a support hero similar vein to Lucio. Because also there's no other mechanic that exists like that in Overwatch, right? They have no of these like alternate mechanics, which is a big issue with like hero design, right? Is that you don't have heroes that do similar things to other heroes. So
it is incredibly cool that they've showcased Junker Queen, teased this new hero, stuff like that. The announcement for October. Is that further away or closer than you expected? Is that about where you thought the PvP would full release? What's your feel on that?
Way closer than I thought it was going to be. Like I was expecting at the latest it'd be like December and they'd release it for the holidays or something like that. But I was expecting in later months. And also the reason a lot of people had this expectation along with me is because they said in an investor meeting that like earlier on in the year that it would not be releasing in 2022. But I think that's important to look at the announcement and how they worded things of this is early access to Overwatch, which probably means that the decoupling of the PvP and the PvE, the official release of Overwatch 2 will probably not come until the PvE comes out, and then they'll bunch it all together and then they'll release it and that'll be the official launch. That's my assumption of what's going on. And the PvP is just going to be that early access live service gameplay, and that's what we'll get, which I think is important because Overwatch 1 is in the worst state it's been in ever. Like it's awful. Like if you've played Overwatch 1 recently, it's just really poor. I peer into my
Discord and I mean I don't play Overwatch 1, but people in my Discord do, and I'm like reading the chat messages. I'm like, oh my, they sound like they're imprisoned and they're being forced to play it. It's a bit odd that they would dangle Overwatch 2 in front of people and then, a couple of weeks later. But I think they're making the right moves in terms of what they needed to do. Yeah. Regarding everything. The decoupling of it, the announcement that they're going to do it as a games as live service thing. Like, all the moves are correct. They are making the right moves. Past that point, it just comes down to, like, the execution, and they kind of have a bit of a problem with the way they've been marketing it all this time because, I mean, people have been hating on Blizzard for ages for very good reasons for some of them. Yeah. But also it's a fact that, it's like the way the gaming community is, if people were playing their games and liked their games a lot and they were making good moves in that space, then people wouldn't be so harsh on them, I guess, in a weird sense. Like, There's a lot of companies that are pretty relatable in terms of some of the stuff that Blizzard's done in the past, yet people don't hold them to the same degree of accountability,
Sure. What do you think about the let's say that you've got Sojourn, Junker Queen, and Fox character, okay? unnamed Fox character. Maid Marian from the Disney movie Robin Hood, okay? You've got Maid Marian, you've got Sojourn, and you've got Junker Queen coming in by the time it gets to October. Is that enough new heroes, to get people engaged, get people excited? Is that a decent kind of like cycle, like
counterpoint?
Time cycle?
Do you think they are now releasing the Fox hero to get you back into the game and get you to join Owl again?
You know what? It might work.
Is a fox hero that what is it about foxes?
Josh really likes foxes.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't
dressing up as
know
them.
that Robin Hood struck you that heavily. I'm not sure.
Who would watch Disney's Robin Hood and not think it was an ultra banger? The animation style is just fantastic. The songs are wonderful.
so confused.
It's a great movie. It's
It is a
great
good.
movie.
It is probably one of the better. I mean, I will admit, it's a very good
never
movie.
seen
It's a very
it.
good
It's
retelling
fabulous.
of Robin Hood. I do
Brent,
enjoy it a lot.
We're gonna sit you down and we're gonna watch it together. It's gonna be a real
Yeah, it's
bonding
good.
experience.
It's good.
We're gonna
It's very good.
listen. I've got 2 Fox onesies at my house. I'll give one to you. I'll give one to me. We'll get dressed
You have
up.
another fox outfit as well.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, you gave me you gave me like a weird 9-tailed fox tail to wear, which is very strange.
What
Anyway,
you guys do in your own time is weird.
My question was, though, is that a good cycle in terms of hero releases? So the beta was available to play in April. So we're talking a 6-month period roughly for 3 new heroes. So that's about 1 every 2 months, although we don't know it'll actually follow that cycle. Maybe they'll end up being a bit more grouped up in certain areas compared to others. But 3 new heroes in 6 months, is that going to engage the community? Is that enough?
Yeah. Anything's going to engage the community at this point.
Yeah.
Surely. You know?
It's a good
Like
cadence. It's just, I mean, I'm gonna say, here's my one negative. I think for everything that we've seen, I like the direction. I think Bren made a good point. It's all the right moves. It's all the right moves, and 3 new heroes is great. It's exciting. And Bren's also right that everyone is like crack fiends and they're looking for the next hit. So they are like, if they get a new hero, they're like, oh shit, like this is good, like this is great. Lots of new heroes, like. This cadence they've been doing in the beta is fine, especially now with this June 28th like full beta release we'll talk about later. But like till October 4th soft launch for the PvP. But this is still making up for the past 3 years or how many?
Yeah.
Like 3 years of no hero releases.
I mean, that's
So-
the Doomer approach.
No, but the point being is that I'm not saying that the cadence is bad or that their current cycle that they're doing is bad. Everything they're doing in the current present is fine, right? It's just hopefully this continues indefinitely, right? In this sort of cycle, like every 2 months or so, there's a hero release because they've had to make up for 3 years of no new heroes. 3. And
yeah,
so the Doomer
that's-
approach would be
yeah.
like, in 3 years, we've gotten 3 heroes, right? Essentially. If we had continued to base off their previous cadence, we've gotten like triple that amount or something, you know?
But
So-
presumably what they've actually done is backlogged a lot of these heroes and they're
Yeah,
planning
surely.
to trickle release them every couple of months
Sure.
rather than actually, fucking grinding it out so that they can produce them 2 months in a time.
I think
what I
that's the important thing of like, I don't really care like what we get at release. For me, the more important thing is the constant trickling of content over not just the first 6 months of the game coming out, like over the next few years. If it's going to be a healthy game, it just needs a constant cycle of content. Like, I don't think it needs a new hero every like 2 months, but if they like alternate like map to hero with like the ranked seasons and like it's free to play, so I would assume some form of like battle pass, like every other video game does these days. If they just like trickle in content like that, that's the good thing, because people love Overwatch and people enjoy to play it. Like we saw when the first beta thing happened, we had 1.4 million people on Twitch. People are probably going to at least try Overwatch 2. And the biggest problem that I think Overwatch has had in the last, especially a few years with no content, is that there's no reason for anyone to come back to play Overwatch. They need to find a way to get people to come back to the game like they do with like League of Legends, like Apex Legends right now, and that kind of stuff, where every few months you come back to that game, and Overwatch needs to enter into that cycle somehow.
Well, you mentioned the Battle Pass, so let's talk about free-to-play. That's one of their big moves that was announced in this trailer. The game is going to be free-to-play. That also means that, I mean, they originally said anyone that owned Overwatch 1 would get the Overwatch 2 PvP free anyway. So the overall gaming community had developed this narrative that Overwatch 2 was a scam, that it was like DLC that was going to have to be paid for or something, but it was always going to be offered free to anyone who had Overwatch 1.
Yeah, they just did a
announced
very
that.
poor job of
yeah,
explaining all of it.
They really messed the marketing up, but that got completely lost in the source, I think. But now it's just pure free to play. So if you're a brand new player that never owned Overwatch 1, you're also getting the game for free. This will presumably come, like you said, Scott, with adjustments to the monetization within the game, because you're not making $60 or when it's on sale like $20 a pop with Overwatch. You're now actually trying to monetize your player base via presumably cosmetics, battle passes, stuff like that, right? Hopefully they don't do anything annoying like they do with the Riot games, where they lock the actual characters behind paywalls. I fucking hate that with Valorant. I think it's the
Suits
worst
tried
thing
to
that
do
they
that.
do. Huh?
The Suits tried to do that with Overwatch at the beginning.
What, at the very beginning?
Yeah, Team 4 had to fight
there was, like, an
internally
interview
against it,
about
basically. Yeah, there was an interview about it. Team 4 had to push against it.
Yeah,
So-
it's a very popular thing, and at the end of the day, the gaming company is going to try and like milk every penny out of the product, isn't it? So yeah, I appreciate that they didn't go in that direction. But the free to play, talk to me about the advantages of free to play to start with. I mean, why is it a good thing?
Sorry, what's this, a business class?
No. But here's the reason: there are a lot of people online who are mad about free to play
Why?
because they don't like battle passes. I guess.
People get mad
I'll
at
say
everything. Sit down,
I'll say
Timothy.
it. They're spoiled. They've been spoiled. They're spoiled. They're spoiled children. Okay, I'm gonna tell you why. They were the thing is, I made this comment. Blizzard Team 4 was stuck in a time prison. Okay, they were stuck in a tesseract in the 1990s, and someone had to get in there and slingshot them through the supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy to bring them to the current time and place of game development, where now they're in the 2020s. Okay, we're here. We have to do free to play, and the reason is like these people are mad is because they have the most user-friendly monetization model ever for like any modern game, AAA game in Overwatch, right? Where you get everything for free, pretty much, as long as you just play the game.
Yeah.
But the reality is like if you want continued interest and support and constant updates, it's very hard to do that without continued monetization, better monetization for most game studios and for most devs. So what my read on it is people are just mad because they're used to having the most user-friendly monetization model in the entire industry for any AAA game, for any major game with Overwatch. And Overwatch 2 was like, okay, actually, you know, this was it was like the 50s for America. It's like that's never gonna happen again. It's never gonna happen again. It just won't happen. Like, and life was good. Guess what? It's fucked. Get ready. It's all fucked. Like, get ready to come back to reality.
Just the economy, like the housing
in terms
market.
of the economy, not
Like
in terms of everything else. Everything else in the 50s was majorly fucked up.
Just gotta specialize. Yeah.
Just the economy, and also like the Overwatch economy. Okay, it's never gonna happen again. And that's what I meant to say. Okay, everything else in the 50s is fucked.
As well, there is genuine downsides to free to play in terms of if you are incredibly paranoid about cheats.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a more common thing. Like, you give easy access to people to be able to make a new account, so you need to be able to be on top of it when it comes to like anti-cheat.
Yeah,
there's a very real possibility you're going to see more people who are just not necessarily, I mean, potentially cheating, but also just people who might get chat banned. They make a new account. I don't care. You know, smurfing might become more of a problem, even though it already is, because the game's been on sale like 50 billion times.
Yeah.
Every time I play the game, I get bloody 5-stack Jeremy typing at me. I killed you. Like, it's already a problem. But people will argue that it will become more of a problem in free to play. But free to play needed to happen because of the reasons that Avast said.
Yeah, I mean, the free-to-play games, there's a couple of things that define extremely popular games in the modern genre, which are games as a live service, free-to-play, and cross-play. Those are like the big three pillars of having an extraordinarily popular game. And Overwatch has now started to make inroads into all three of them. The cross-play stuff, but also it didn't have like... you didn't have your combined stuff across different accounts, and then the free to play has never actually been pushed in that direction before as well. In terms of the cheating and the smurfing and stuff too, there are ways to counteract that in terms of like, tying a mobile phone number to it and making it more difficult. The like 25-30 level grind or whatever the hell. I couldn't even be bothered making a Smurf account in this game. It
was a very
not
long
even a
time
Smurf,
to
an
grind.
alt account. Smurf, Pepe laugh,
Smurfing. You ain't smurfing.
That ain't never happening in Overwatch.
Smurfing.
No, but it's unless you're just buying accounts that are already up there. But doesn't that market kind of disappear a little bit if things are free to play? I don't know.
Yeah.
No, people still buy ranked ready accounts in League of Legends.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll happen. Like, free to play is definitely going to enable that a little bit more. There are ways that they can combat it in game. Just make, if you want to play ranked, all of a sudden it's not 25 or 30 to get there anymore. It's now like 60. And then if they add an unrated competitive mode, kind of like Valorant is a prime example. They have the exact same thing. It's a free to play game that, you can just make a new account and go again and smurf. And it does have smurfs, and that's almost unavoidable, but the upsides of free to play are just way better. And like, to what Connor was saying, is like, one of the biggest things that I like about free to play is it creates this cycle of when the developers release content, they then get paid a ton of money because people buy that kind of stuff, right? Like skins, all that kind of stuff. You know, people are going to buy it, and that incentivizes a cycle of they'll keep making content. Like people complain about Overwatch over the last couple of years of like, oh, we just get skins again, and like the skins are sick, but they're not anything interesting and they're not unique. So I think it'll hopefully create a better, more prosperous market of the game for exactly the reasons Connor said.
I mean, you say that, but also the content that the player base wants are the heroes and the maps, which you don't pay for anyway, right? So that's the counter to that, is that then they're incentivized to make the, like, you know, ultra rare skin unique thing, but what the player base actually wants is the free stuff at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
tie in,
and
right?
I feel like that's still like ignoring the fact that I'm sure there is a community, the existing portion of the community that would, you know, pay for skins if they were really good, you know, and pay for like,
I'm sure
also
would,
we saw in the trailer, there were like there looked to be like gun charms of such like that,
Yeah,
you know?
there
So like if there were these cosmetics and like other potential cosmetic options that haven't been explored, like if they were to like potentially go with like more customizable things or like, you know, all
Hats.
sorts of other stuff that they could do, hats. Yeah.
Jonathan
Then,
was right all along. Wrapping hats to
There's
Overwatch.
options there, you know, there's options there. And also that's still ignoring the fact that if this goes free to play and they also launch these new heroes and these new systems, there is also the possibility a bunch of people that have not played Overwatch before and Overwatch 2, or also just like people that are new to the gaming sphere, especially since it's going to be releasing on console and PC, that would be like paying for stuff.
Let me tap into that then a little bit, because Overwatch, to me, I feel like even if they never got a new player ever, if they focused on getting the players that have already left back in, would see a large resurgence. So to me, the most effective marketing seems to be to draw those players back towards the game rather than try and tap into brand new people that have never tried Overwatch before. Free to play, very specifically, is only beneficial if you never even played or bought Overwatch 1.
There's a lot of people that get put off from doing that because
I'm
the
sure
game
there
wasn't
were,
free, right?
because the game was like $60. I'm sure that literally is a paywall to have ever played the game and is going to be a barrier. But there are so many people that already played Overwatch and aware of Overwatch and stuff as well that do you think the focus is in the right place here with free to play? Is this actually the market that's going to grow the game? People that have never played Overwatch before?
Yes. And like, think of the younger generation. Like we're all boomers at this point, right? Like we're all old, and a lot of the people who have played Overwatch are the older generation. The young kids aren't getting into it as much. Like by having free to play, like Overwatch has a crazy amount of console players that if it becomes free to play or it goes, you know, eventually we end up in Microsoft and it goes on the Game Pass, you're attracting a huge amount of new players. And I think with even just like a $15 price tag, like, or $10, whatever Overwatch has been lately, that dissuades a lot of people. It's not free. While now, if you're like, it's free, I think you're going to see a lot of younger people get into it very quickly. And if they get a good response, they'll put in their mom's credit card and then we reap the benefits. So it'll be good.
I mean, the benefits come more from
Astoundingly cynical point of view there.
the benefits come from the player base, not the mum's credit card. But also,
of course.
But yeah, I know my little brother, when he's, you know, in his early teens, all he would play is free-to-play games. He would just find whatever free-to-play games he could. I mean, he was playing TF2, and that's not because I had ever told him about it. He said to me once, he was like, "Oh, I've started playing TF2. You used to play that, didn't you?" And I was like, "What? What year is it?" It was like 10 years after I had stopped playing nearly. No, that can't be true.
That's
like,
not true. You're not that
5
old.
years. It was 5 years though, fully after I'd stopped playing the game. And then he was playing, you know, like what's it, Crunker.io and those kind of games, like a little flash, like FPS game and stuff. Just literally anything that he and his friends could get their hands on that was free and they could play together. They would do. So I'm sure that is going to happen.
Cool.
I have nothing else to add. It sounds
Very
nice.
good.
Free to play is good. It's a good move.
It's a good move.
The right move.
Okay.
It's a correct decision.
All
there
right.
we go.
Junker Queen. Mm-hmm. We have a problem in the Overwatch community, and it's called horniness. Okay? That's where I want to start with this. Where's this come from?
Yeah, where's this come from?
Look at any comment about Junker Queen, and it's woof woof, mommy. Sorry, mommy.
Ooga.
Come on.
Humana. Booba.
Come on. We're better than this, aren't we? Aren't we?
No, we're not.
Absolutely
No, we're not.
Dude,
we're not. Millennia of human culture has proven we're not.
I mean, all I've learned is that people go so dumb for abs. That's what I've learned. Abs and Mitch would love to get crushed by her.
What?
That's what. Dude, have you seen what Mitch has been tweeting?
No.
He has, yeah. He's off the goop.
So that he's replying to Junker Queen stuff with mommy, sorry, and fucking woofing stuff. It's
oh no,
absurd.
what's happening to me? Dog emoji. Man bowing into the dog emoji.
Exactly. Things have gone off the fucking rails.
No, I haven't seen that.
Okay, well anyway,
I could see it coming though.
Yeah. Okay. Talk to me about your first impressions
no
with
one
Junker
really
Queen,
talks
Bren.
about it, but the Overwatch scene early on, like the popularity, it really did get carried by that Rule 34 stuff.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean,
we'd be dead at this point without it.
Yeah.
It really did get carried by it early on.
No, it
I mean,
did-
I'm not going to go into detail
It
about
got
it.
carried by it.
And TikTok. People forget about that as well.
TikTok?
I'm already Winston, that little fucking song, little jingle, little TikTok.
Was TikTok even popular in 2016?
Well, actually,
when
Overwatch kind of carried TikTok with that one. That was like
Overwatch carried TikTok. You are.
It was like early enough that it like that became like a fucking meme. And holy moly, Junker Queen.
Yeah, people have been waiting for Junker Queen as a playable character since Junker
Did the
Town was
cinematic
released.
get leaked?
No, this is a teaser, so this is like the first like portion of it, like early portion.
They did, however, have leaks a while back about her kit, which like kind of matches up to what we saw in the trailer video a bit. Of like she's got like a scatter gun, which is similar to Roadhog's gun, but it's probably tighter spread, like longer range. She also has like her spear and things like that, where she can cause bleed, which is new, supposedly based off the leaks, which is like it's a DOT, which is like, I mean, we already have dots in Overwatch with stuff like burn, from like Ash. So it's not like a new mechanic. It's more so just Ana.
I guess it is.
Ana's damage over time.
Yeah. So it's not a new mechanic. It's just we never had bleed before, supposedly, if the leaks are true. Also, there's like in the trailer it shows that she can do like a charge forward, and supposedly based off the leaks she'd anti-heal people with the charge, which is rather interesting.
Is this the French one that
This is the
came
French
out?
one. This is the
Yeah, I
French one.
remember
Yeah.
looking at this like 6 months ago, and I was reading all the abilities. I'm like, this has so much power creep. There's no way this is fucking real at all. But then you like look at these abilities, and you're like,
in the trailer, you see her do like the whirlwind thing where she
see her do all
charges
the things,
forward.
yeah.
You see her do that move. So but I don't know if there's like an anti-heal associated, right? But like the other stuff, like where it says that you can like throw the spear, like the gun, and it comes back, is like you see that in the trailer too.
How would
So,
this
like,
get leaked in France?
Just somebody QA
Not
tested
sure.
a long time
yeah,
ago.
probably.
In
And they
France?
Why not in France? What, they can only use Americans?
It's just weird, isn't it?
Not really.
Why
I
is
mean,
it
what's
weird?
weird about it?
Because
The
didn't they-
people exist in France. People play video games in France. People get paid in France.
Controversial.
No.
No. What do you mean? No.
Didn't they close down their offices in France?
Oh, you mean because specifically Blizzard closed down their
Yeah.
European
But I'm
offices?
pretty
or
sure
the
this
majority of it?
wasn't this. I think this original post was like ages ago. Wasn't
it
it?
might
I'm not
be
sure.
Very old.
I can't
Also-
remember, but I mean, either way, they could still have independent QA studios doing QA. Doesn't
Sure.
that like a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
of game devs
No,
do, where they have
okay.
independent
Yeah,
QA?
sure.
Couldn't it also
things?
just be Canadian?
Yeah, French-Canadian.
French Canadian?
Yeah, could be.
or
Could be that.
anyone who likes French and
Yeah, I
decided
was
to
just
change
playing
their
it in
name?
France.
Or
in French.
it's actually someone, it's actually the Queen from the UK, and she's decided to put it into French to blame it on the French Prime Minister. Maybe it's all
Genius.
subterfuge. Could
What
be.
are you talking about?
Let's talk Junker Queen.
Dude, we've gone way off.
Sorry,
we've gone way
Am I
off the
missing
fucking rails
something?
already.
All I'm
Has the
saying
Queen
is,
recently come out against France?
I know a long history of actions between the two nations, but no, not recently.
Let's talk Junker Queen.
Yeah, Junker Queen. She look cool.
Yeah, she looks cool. Yeah. I mean,
I saw a comment from someone who said, don't you think it's incredibly lazy by the Blizzard developers to have a spinning weapon like Orisa? They're just reusing assets at this point. I was like, are you kidding me? These things are like nothing the same. But people are a little annoyed about that. But I think it's like completely different. And I think her abilities look really unique. She looks interesting. If it is true of like the rumors that we've heard about her, and she does have like anti-healing and bleeds and speed boost and all these kind of things, I'm a little worried she's just going to be better than every other tank in the game. But at least she's not a shield tank. So you got that
That's how
going
they
for
should
us.
approach it, though.
At the same
as long
time,
as they balance quickly.
yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of want the new interesting heroes to be a bit overtuned. Listen,
see
if,
playtime.
if they're going to be overtuned or undertuned, I'd rather they're a bit over. I would have liked to see Orisa get played at all in Overwatch League.
She got
That would've
played
been-
once.
Nice.
She got
Yeah,
played once.
True. Yeah, okay. Got played the tiniest bit and lost. But I would like to see it a little bit, just because I
Also,
think
Sojourn, we didn't see.
Exactly,
So,
Sojourn
we
as
didn't
well.
see Sojourn either.
You want
Every now and then.
the newer stuff to be at the forefront, and you can always dial it back afterwards. That doesn't mean you have to put it in like ultra busted, but just if you think the line's there, just a little over the line, just a tiny bit over the line, and you can always dial it back.
Josh wants Brig again. That's all I'm taking from this. He wants Brig to kill our game again.
I mean, that's supposedly the leak for her abilities, is that she has a rallying cry type of an ability that buffs all her and her allies and gives them additional
God.
HP and speed
Yeah,
in the leak.
It's just
So
game dev 101 with multiplayer games. It's easier to tone it down as opposed to trying to buff something that's underpowered. Because by the time you release something that's underpowered, you're not getting good, valuable data anymore because people have stopped playing it, like the character or whatever. So, yeah.
New tank role as well. Specifically, tank is going to be, Junker Queen is in that role. Supports Malden.
Tanks are in a pretty good space.
There are
Yeah,
a
they
lot
are.
of tanks. There are also, with the Doom rework, with Orisa rework, with now Junker Queen as well.
Yeah.
It feels like the tank role is the most exciting to play, or at least it's going to be the most exciting to play. Is that a good thing? Obviously, they needed to solve the tank. No one wanted to play tank in Overwatch 1. The tank queues were appalling. But reducing it to half the size and making it the most fun role, is that a good thing for the game?
Queue times got skewed the other way, didn't they?
A little bit.
That's
They
because there's
did.
nothing for supports, right? There's no reason to play support like in their alphas and betas and stuff like that because like nothing changed. Like you're just playing the same old supports. So it's like, why am I playing Overwatch 2 when it just feels like I'm playing, a respawn simulator as a support and I'm not getting anything new. Like I just know shiny new toys right now.
But the Fox.
Well, the Fox
The
might
Fox,
come
when the Fox
later.
gets here.
It might be in the game later. There's a big problem right now with they definitely need to be adding some shiny new toys to the support role to try and even out those queues. Because I was under the impression like, they're moving to 5v5, they're making tanks fun to play. This should help with queue times. I was thinking, absolute unaware, just what is it, clueless, the emote. Because I was playing in Europe sometimes when I was playing with everybody in the US like on 200 ping, but when I was like trying to solo queue games, I'm like, I fancy playing some Overwatch 2 beta on stream, and I boot it up, I'll be playing, and I'm in a queue for 12 minutes as tank and DPS just on both of them. Obviously not selecting support because support was one, I've never played support. Two, it's just boring. There's nothing new. Nothing new with it. I'm part of the problem. I can't really complain. I'm part of the problem. But
I'm not going to lie. I did enjoy kicking people around on Zen. That was the most fun I've had in the game for a long time.
But that was only towards the end of the alpha.
yeah, that was
as
only
well.
towards the end of the beta, which
What was
was
it like
removed.
for like a week, and then they just
Yeah.
took it offline?
I was so
Yeah,
shocked.
yes.
I was so shocked.
Well,
at that.
let's talk about that then. This is a live update brought to us by our reporter Connor Prince, who lives on the Twitter timeline and found this piece of news.
You found a
for
piece
us.
of news.
Yeah,
we said this at the beginning.
You already said it.
The beta.
You got holes in your brain?
No, I thought it was a new piece of news.
No,
it is a new
this
piece of
was
news.
the
I thought
big.
it
This
was
is the
new.
big piece of news.
It's not news. You
And
just said
new.
it 5 minutes ago.
Oh yes, no, we don't mean literally right now. The news being that the beta is returning on the 28th. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yes, it's the 28th, and it's also going to be the console beta too. So PC and console goes live the 28th, and the signups begin on June 16th, where they're also dropping this whatever update thing
Poggies.
that they're doing.
Did they say whether the new signups are only going to be console, or whether they're adding in a new wave of people to the?
They said that the signups and more details are coming on June 16th. So I imagine June 16th is going to be them explaining what's going on.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, and for anyone who's unaware, June 16th they've got a massive what's it called? Stream scheduled where they're going to be going
Reckoning.
through a lot of this stuff. Yeah, the reckoning is coming to
Presumably,
Overwatch.
that's what the cinematic's called. Reckoning.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
It's that would be a very
thematic.
Blizzard thing to do.
Yeah, seems thematic.
Yeah.
This is a long bloody time to have the beta off for.
It is, isn't it?
What do you think they're going to end up doing for the rest of this year? Is it going to continue alternating like this? Like, what's it been? 4 weeks on, 4 weeks off?
To me, if
I
they're
would
putting
not
the
expect more
console,
beta.
yeah, if they're putting the console beta live, that to me imply, isn't it a lot? Obviously, I'm not sure how it works, right? But I imagine if you have it live on the console, that to me implies that it's going to be permanent until it launches
I hope so.
as well.
I think any alternative, people are going to lose interest very quickly. People have already lost interest.
Yeah, I think people already have. I think it was a massive loss for them. But
I think this is not going to go for as long as people think. I think this will probably
Really?
be a couple of week beta, and then I think they'll probably take it down until the game comes out. Because I actually think it is worse for the game, or like probably about a month. Like let's run it for a month, and then we have like a 2.5 month, 2 month downtime. If you leave it up for too long, I think you're going to lose too much hype when the full game releases. Like if you have the full game release, and then everyone's been playing the alpha or the beta forever, and the only new thing is going to be like potentially this, Fox support. I think they're probably better off. Yeah, it sucks that it's down and it sucks that the game is dead, but it's already dead, right? Like you're better off generating hype when the full game actually releases.
But Scott, it's more dead than it's ever been before. It's the lowest Twitch viewership Overwatch has ever had recently, which is just astounding.
But I think what you're going to do is you're going to burn out your audience before the full release actually happens, and people won't come. I think you just can't give too much lead up with the beta. Otherwise, I think people are just going to get really like, yes, viewership will go up, but if we release the beta and the beta runs until release, right? What's going to happen is everyone's going to play it for the first couple of weeks. And then like all the streamers will play it, all that kind of stuff. And then they won't even realize that it's probably going to full release because Overwatch will be out the entire time and the viewership will drop while that happens.
Isn't that an issue with content though?
Yeah,
Not an issue with the beta model? Like so many other games just kept their stuff live until they eventually went 1.0, like for the full release, but there was just updates.
Yeah, but I think that's what the pre-release is like. This, that's what Overwatch 4 is. October 4th is the beginning of that pre-release up until you get that full release. Like, I don't think this beta is. This isn't like the beginning of everything that I would say is coming until Overwatch 4th. I think this is the last final test, or maybe this will be the second to last final test until we actually get the game forever. And I think
Scott,
it's not the worst thing in the world.
In 2 days, if they have a big stream and they drop the trailer for Junker Queen and they're trying to hype people up and they say, the beta's only going to be available for another few weeks and then you'll have to wait for a few months. But October 4th, write it down in your calendar, people are going to lose their shit. People are going to lose their shit. They're already pissed they can't play the game until, June 28th or whatever.
Yeah.
People are going to go crazy. Why not add all of the stuff that you've got? Like over the course
You guys essentially want them to release the game.
24th?
You guys essentially just want them to release the game in June 28th. Like you're just saying, give us the beta forever. And that's essentially starting the beta, except you don't have the support here. You just want to start it 3 months earlier than the actual release day, right? Which is fair. Like I want to play Overwatch 2 all the time as well. I hate playing Overwatch 1 right now. But
not with Junker Queen, not with the Fox Hero as well. But I'm saying you need to be adding other things in. Yeah, I think the beta should be active from June 28th until October 4th. And I think they should be adding in like a map or a skin set or something like that, keeping people interested, building the hype, dropping more trailers, that kind of stuff. And then, continue to work the, maybe rework a support or something throughout that. And then drop the big mother load of 2 heroes.
How other games have done it?
Because otherwise,
service.
people are just not going to care by the time you get around.
I think here's your problem, Josh.
Death.
You said when the release comes out, just drop 2 heroes. It's like, I don't think they have 2 heroes to drop. I think they
have Junker Queen and the Fox one.
Yeah, but I think Junker Queen is obviously going to be the June 28th beta. That's going to be testing her, and that's going to be making sure she's balanced, making sure she's good. Everyone's going to try her out. They're going to try the console beta, and I think it'll go for a few weeks, and then I think they'll take it down. And then on release, the shiny new toy will be the new support. And I don't think they're going to, and then they'll drop a bunch of skins, they'll drop a bunch of maps, hopefully, and then like the full game will probably release. And I think that is the hype moment. I think if you try and blow your load too early in this June 28th beta, I think you're going to lose the hype for the official release in October 4th.
I do think Scott's got a bit of a point regarding if you don't have the content to release to actually like start your model as a game's live service.
Sure.
Because what's already been showcased is they show the beta, fucking millions of viewers at the beginning, and then
Yeah.
all the way down.
But that's a content problem.
It's a content problem. But
They
if you don't
didn't
have the
keep
content,
beta open.
If you
They
don't
do
have the content,
They've been working on it for fucking years.
I
They
don't
have the
think they
content.
do.
No,
It's
and
in a
they're gonna
fucking
stream
single
it.
vault.
But they're
And
gonna
it's
stream
vault,
it out
and
once
Jeff
it comes
Kaplan
out.
took the number and ran away. And then they're trying to unlock the vault. They're trying all of the different numbers. They're like, bloody hell, Jeff, please. They got their ear up to the vault. They're like, turning it, looking for the click, turning it back, looking for another click. They're like, fuck, extend the
think
date,
they've got the
October 4th.
content.
We'll be able to open it by October 4th. They're ordering in TNT. Break open the vault.
I don't think they've got the content.
They have to. They've been working on it for
They-
years.
no,
they do have the content.
They don't have the content.
They have the content, but it'll begin when a cycle starts, right? It comes down to when is the starting point for the slow trickle of content, right? And I think that beginning is October 4th. It is not June 28th. Like
Yeah,
that's
but
the
they-
difference
It
that we're
should have
saying.
been April. It should have been this April.
Yeah.
It should have been in 2020 for all we fucking talking about, Josh. We're too late.
I don't think they've got the content though. Like the reason you would do like an artificial scarcity model like this, where you're cutting off the beta from people and we're gonna release it again, like to try and like flip people's serotonin receptors. Like the only reason you would do this if you didn't have the content to like release, because the way other games have done this in the past is they do the beta up until this big 1.0 release, and a 1.0 release they do a big load of content that they dump on. But if they don't have the content to drip feed and slowly add additions to keep people still engaged, they can't do that.
But my question simply then is,
What have they been doing?
what have they been doing?
I think that they've been suffering a bunch of employee turnover, a bunch of stuff internally, and a bunch of
PvE.
issues when it comes to the game dev like direction of the way the game was supposed to be designed. They had to pivot to a games as live service. They've had to pivot to decoupling the PvE and PvP. They were fully intending on having it all packaged together in a big re-release, and they've had to go through development hell essentially. And so I think it's led to this problem where they don't have content. I thought we were going to get 6 new heroes.
I mean, that's
I
when
thought we
people
were gonna get
calculated
5.
the amount of time.
They said in an interview they're aiming for around 6 with a new release. This is ages and ages and ages ago, like right near the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's like, what,
We're
gonna
getting
get
3.
3?
Well, three minimum. They've
minimum.
teased 1
Yeah,
and announced 2.
I think the development cycle presumably has just been going through hell of just the big turnover of the big lead developers just leaving the company, and you having the direction of the entire game. Like I said, I'm just rehashing the same point, but I think the only reason you would do that, the beta has to stay. It has to stay, but also people are going to lose interest if you keep it up and they don't have the constant content.
Fortnite was in early access for 3 years.
Yeah, but people didn't even know Fortnite was coming out until it came out, right? Like that's the value they had. The problem is that
No. Fortnite people. Now this is deep gaming lore, but I was excited about Fortnite back in the day because Fortnite used to be like was a huge thing from Epic, where everyone was really excited about the concept of like the save the world system for Fortnite. What
It's like
it
a
was
tower
turned
defense
into.
game.
It was like a tower defense, like builder.
Yeah.
Like people were losing their shit over it. Like I remember, like I was like, whoa, this looks really cool, and like people that like. And people knew about the development of Fortnite for a long time, and then they released, and then the PvP got so popular that they just went early access and stayed that way for years and years because they were like changing their model. And
They
everything.
pivoted to the battle royale. They made Fortnite a battle royale because
The thing is, you can
PUBG
stay.
was so
You can
big.
stay early access though. Like they've already chosen that. To me, I get it. Like they probably are fucked because of the pivot to PVE. Like it sounds like they've been fucked to the pivot to PVE, like from PVE, and like also suddenly realizing that the year is 2020s and we're not 1990 anymore. So like we have to be live access. That I don't understand how that's a shock. That to me is still crazy because like that's like. You blind? Like you've been looking around, seeing what everyone else has been doing? Like what's like, I don't understand how that's a shock to them. But like the second point of like they started with the PvE nonsense, and not nonsense, but all the PvE stuff that was happening, and they had to shift, and like that can fuck up your dev time and your hero releases pretty heavily, I imagine. So I get that, but it's still, they've already showed that PvP, the October 4th is the early access. It's not the full release, it's early access still. So what's the problem with being early access for longer, right? But that's just, to me,
I guess it's fair. I see what you mean. You could start it now, like 3 months earlier, and then the cycle just starts in June 28th instead of October 4th. Like I see it. Like I don't want to be doom or gloomer and that kind of stuff, but I just think that's realistic. I think if everyone gets their hype and their expectation up that this beta is going to go until October 4th, once again, it's going to be a massive marketing fuck up because, you know, I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's unrealistic to expect that they're just going to give this permanent beta access and this is the beginning of we get to play Overwatch 2 forever. Why would they ever do that? instead of just saying this is the release of the game.
Oh, no, that's a reasonable point. Are you two going to be co-streaming the announcement on in 2 days on June 16th?
I got work.
I do have work, but I'll just call in sick. So I'll just
actually,
I'll
same.
and call in sick. Yeah, let's just call in sick.
Hex,
We'll
if you're watching this, sorry, busy on Thursday.
You have work.
Also,
you have
actually-
Overwatch League work that overlaps with Overwatch.
Yes.
Making a big announcement.
Okay, no,
Right?
okay, no. The announcement is happening at 10 a.m. PST. We're actually getting, I believe, John Spector and Sean Miller are going on the Overwatch League pre-show as well to talk about the announcement that are happening on June 16th. So it's kind of like together.
I don't have to do the initial co-stream. I could just wait for Overwatch League and then do it.
Double down, baby.
I could just wait.
Double
That way I
dipping.
don't have to be up early so I can go. Well, no, I won't do the early one because I want to go to the gym during that time.
It's not even that early. You're on the East Coast. Isn't that like
It's
1 p.m.
p.m.
for you?
No, but the problem is this. Well, actually, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I'll probably be done with the gym. Yeah, that's right. I forgot it's 10 a.m. PST, not 10 a.m. EST. So yeah, actually that would be possible. But if they're gonna do an Overwatch League anyways, fuck it.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. Well, let's talk some Overwatch League stuff then. So there were no matches this week. Obviously, the league was taking a break after the stage. So we're going to do some preds of the games that are coming up. And also there was a bunch of news stuff that we missed last week because we were doing a huge, recap of all of the tournaments that were happening. So let's talk some news. Starting with dpei, former head coach of the Gladiators, is now joining the Vancouver Titans. They've essentially pushed out all of the rest of their coaching staff. And dpei is coming in to try and turn this sinking Titanic around. And Vancouver has simply been wallowing at the bottom of the standings ever since they got rid of that runaway, or not even got rid, blew up, imploded, fucked around with and locked them in a basement. The
Didn't
runaway
manage
players,
properly.
yeah, failed to manage the runaway players properly. dpei is now coming in to try and turn this around. This seems like an extraordinary challenge for him to take on. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think he, especially when I look at the Gladiators, I look at an org that's they're willing to spend money, they're willing to do everything they can to make sure that the team is like it's got the resources it needs. When I see Vancouver Titans, I think dpei's been given a rundown Toyota Honda from 2002, and it's like you must make this compete in the local derby, and you must win, and it has to be like an American tale.
Are you a car guy?
No,
What's a Toyota Honda?
don't know.
That's two.
Yeah, that's
car
just two
manufacturers.
brands. That's just two
I
companies.
just believe
what
what
is a
Bren
Honda?
said.
What's a Honda? That's
A
that's
Honda's
a
a
brand.
separate company. It's a separate company. It's not the two different cars.
Okay, well, the analogy is falling to pieces because I don't know cars. I don't drive. I don't know cars that well.
Okay,
But you understand my point, is that there's not a lot
I
of
got
budget
it.
to work with, and dpei's been put into this position. And
if dpei had stayed with the team, which apparently it was his choice, and I don't even understand what was going on in the offseason particularly because him and the staff were saying opposite things about each other. Which one did you mean?
both of them combined.
Okay, but also a much older model. It's not a 2021 model.
This is the distant
I mean, the
future.
classic car is like like that everyone drives. It's like it's just the reliable, sturdy cars, like the 1999, 2000-ish Toyota Camry. That's like
Yeah, that
the
is the
classic
reliable
car.
car.
That's what he meant when he said Toyota Honda.
No, no.
So, if dpei had an opportunity to stay with the Gladiators when the Gladiators are building a super team, there's no other way to describe this Gladiators
It's a
offseason.
super team.
They built a super team, at least as much as they could. They got some incredible players together and must have spent a decent chunk of change. And dpei has gone from potentially head coaching that team to the exact opposite side of the table, where he's now head coaching the bottom of the league. I imagine it takes a very different skill set as well, coaching great players to be the best and coaching, I'm going to say bad players here. They're not bad players in the wider sense, but in terms of Overwatch League, they are at the bottom of the 1% of the 1%, but the players that don't have that winning capability, trying to bring them to mid-table, I think would take different skills, like more fundamental kind of teaching skills rather than refining.
I'm actually really excited to see how dpei does with this roster, because if you ask, Twitch chat or YouTube chat right now, and you said, do you think dpei is a good coach? It'd actually be really split along the middle, because a lot of
Run
people...
the poll.
Run the poll.
Can you run the poll in the chat?
Because it's an interesting conversation, because dpei is... he had a lot of success on the Gladiators. Like, they actually always finished like top 4, top 6. Like, they were always a competitive team at the high end, but he never was able to take that team to a championship or like a real like serious victories.
Won the Countdown Cup.
He won the Countdown Cup at the end. As I said, I have an asterisk there because Dallas and Shanghai didn't try, but they still were very good, and they were having good improvements, and he was getting that team to that point. But my point is, it's a very different skill set, as Josh said, to coach a lower ranked team. And I think that is where the best coaches really rise up. And the two that come to my mind is Goomba and Packing 10. I think both of those coaches have shown an ability to pick up what is considered weaker teams or a lower budget team, 9K as well, and then rise them up to a good position. If dpei can do that, I think the conversation ends. dpei is a good coach, because you can make arguments for and against dpei. And I think he definitely has some good... insight, and I like what he says, but it's hard to really know how good of a coach he is, and I think this is a great test for him.
I think, it wasn't also for the Glads roster for the timeline. Didn't he like leave when like 2/3 of it was assembled, and then like the other thirds that surely had been like locked in at that point, and then he left the org, right?
Yeah.
So
yes.
So to me, the most interesting part to me about both this fiasco, all this fiasco in general, is that also because according to the leaks early in the season, Titans also has spent money this year, like acquiring Aspire and Aztec. Though people don't realize it, but Aztec was a very hyped up rookie player coming into the league for their first year, and then like still was worth, I guess, a decent amount potentially over the transfer. But getting Aspire and Shockwave, and then Masa, these were all players, and then even like they acquired like Mirror and Skyrippa and stuff. So like, but in particular like Aspire, Masa, Shockwave, Aztec are like. These were players that apparently they were dropped money on, and they were also looking to get players like supposedly like Reiner or something, and they were also willing to, compete. Was like the leaks from early on in the season, right? So to me, the weird part about this roster is that their record post Runaway is like 6-38, I think. So they've won 6 matches and they've lost like 38 post Runaway.
It might be more than that now.
It might be more than
6.
that.
Yeah.
But it's like. So they've once again built a roster here that's like filled with decent players and spent money on it this time too, compared to last year. And now they've got a dpei who I imagine wouldn't have taken the job without some okayish form of compensation, right? After being, essentially royalty at Glads, comparatively to a lot of coaches in the year that are like surviving off ramen and food scraps, right? So like I think that this is just an overall bizarre. As someone that David Pei shows up a lot and talk with him a lot, it's just a bizarre situation overall. All things considered, it's just bizarre. It's weird, and I don't know what to expect from it. But I think this is like Custa said. It's like if he turns this roster around to where they look competitive, then I feel like it's pretty fair to say like he's extremely talented coach, because right now it's tough to discern from his record where he's always had great rosters.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the results of the poll are in, and I think might have overstated the 50-50-ness of it a bit, because the chat seems to, with 77% thinking, dpei's a good coach. And I would agree with that too, but also, what even... So you're saying this would be a good test. What would even be a positive result? Like, what defines success with a team that's been doing so poorly? Is it... Because... You're not getting in there in the off season where you have enough time to really, build the structure from the beginning and help the players before they ever play a match. Though. You've got pretty talented players, but when you're talking about this roster, comparing them to all of Overwatch League, it isn't. It's not an average. It's not even average, is it?
No, it's not top of the line. But listen, you can train, you can bring up players that are at the very quote-unquote bottom of the 1% is how we're putting it, right? Because you have to be some of the best of the best to even be in the Overwatch League in the first place.
Right, but what would be the success metric? Is it
mirroring,
competing with the middle?
Yeah, I would say so. I think also just trying to mirror the kind of success that, other examples, I think of 2020 Paris Eternal, when they had the mixed roster, and that was a good team. That roster had crazy
some good
success.
talent.
Like they won one of the stages. Which one was it? The
Summer
Showdown.
They also had Sparkle on the team.
Yeah, they had crazy talent. Crazy talent. But like, if you are bringing together talent like that, you've got dpei as your coach. I think aiming for something like that would be your aim. I'm not saying they didn't win the league, but they took a title. Admittedly, when it was split as well, when the league was split.
But that's a bonkers.
That is a crazy goal. They took a title, but let's say make the tournaments and do some damage.
Well, make the tournament is also mid-season tournament is going to be very difficult for them to make because they have no points right now.
Impossible, yeah.
So
almost.
Okay,
it's
well,
essentially
scrap the most important tournament. Then.
Stage 3. What's the Stage 3 tournament called?
The Stage 3 tournament is Summer Showdown.
Summer Showdown. So
Summer Showdown. So yeah,
making the Summer Showdown, is that a reasonable goal for this team? For making top 8 in North America?
I think that has to be the cutoff that you're going for, right? Like, I think their season's already in the gutter. They're 0-6. It's very hard, especially with how the points kind of snowball in this season. I think it's going to be very difficult to ask them to get high. But like, I think realistically, go to the playoffs. The playoffs, the way it works is that the top 6 teams in NA automatically qualify, and then 7 to 10 then do a play-in to get those final playoff spots. They can easily get into that top 10 range if they have a good season for the rest of it. They can jump over, like, NYXL Boston, any of those teams, London. Like, if they turn that around, I think that's the ultimate success. Get into the playoffs. Even if you don't win the play-ins, like, it'd be great if they did. But if they can make it to the play-ins, I think that's a success because the team's in a hole already.
Yeah, I think that seems a pretty reasonable metric for success. On the other side of things, you've got a coach that has been dropped. KDG, released from the Toronto Defiant. Logix immediately tweets something like, fuck, took you long enough. I can't remember exactly what the tweet was.
That's what it was, essentially. Yeah, it was that.
So KDG is one of those people that, again, you want to run a fucking poll for across the Overwatch community.
It's an interesting one.
Because I've never been particularly impressed with him, but I've always heard good things about him from the people he's coached.
That's a crazy thing, isn't it?
I mean, apart from Logix, obviously.
Apart from Logix.
Do you want to scroll down here, Kurt, a little bit and just show the Logix response? Thank fuck took you long enough. Just double the amount of likes, ratio to hell. The backstory for this is due to the previous Toronto team that only had Beast Halo and Logix on it. Apparently, the Korean players had kind of formed a completely separate Discord where they were discussing things apart from the English-speaking players, and KDG had enabled this behavior.
To a great team environment.
Yeah, KDG previously as well had less success than was hoped for, I guess, with like the Seoul Dynasty team, despite the fact that people give him credit for. I mean, the Philly team though that he coached was good, wasn't it? Didn't they finish Wasn't that 2020 where they finished at the top?
Yes, because they finished first in regular season. Here's the thing that I had a realization of recently, because I'm very hyped up on KDG when he was going to Toronto. I was like, he did great things with Philly, but someone said something that did sort of like resonate with me of like, think of what that 2020 Philly roster was. Like, it would have been hard to mess that roster up. And maybe that's like the thing that we're oversighting. We're overrating KDG because of just how good his roster was and the success they had in that season.
I've seen people mess up good rosters.
Yes, I mean, absolutely. That happens with the Spark all the time. And
I mean, you could argue the Defiant this year was a good roster that's been messed up. So
it's not good in the same way that Philly
KDG,
2020 team was good, though.
Yeah.
Sure, but it still had pieces from that same team, though, right? Because they had Hisu and stuff, like, and then they've had, they've had like other pieces from good teams, like they had Twilight from their roster was pretty good, and like I think I was a KDG like, okay, this is like, I'm still gonna believe he's had good moments, like he did interesting things with Seoul and with Philly, like I've given enough time. I'm sold.
Did he do
all
good
my
things
KD.
with Seoul?
Well, mostly he was the only coach still in the league to ever make a 12-man roster work. But he was the only.
No, you keep saying this, Connor. This is your point every time.
That's what Jonathan says as well. Reinforce says the same thing.
He point all the time.
He was though.
Did he?
He was though.
Did it work?
The roster did not work.
It kind of worked.
No, the roster was so good, and they finished 8th or something.
But the point being was, it's not about like but the point being is that it didn't. Generally, most 12-man rosters, what ends up happening is that there was a civil war. And so like everyone's pissed. Everyone wants to leave. Everyone like the thing is people don't see, but like it's happened with London Spitfire. All the rosters that are gigantic. It is shocking that the Spark that there hasn't been some sort of civil unrest inside the offices yet. It is shocking at this point. Like, so because every huge roster this happens because you can't manage. They don't have the level of administrative staff or coaches and the overall talent to manage this many players. And because of how Overwatch works, it's really hard to substitute them in. Soul did not seemingly hear those issues. But I mean, obviously, once again, I missed that context, right? That to me is success because you managed to take a roster that by all means, it's like putting like a concentrated, what is the thing that explodes in water? Is it sodium? Whatever.
Wow. Is it sodium?
No, it's not
lithium.
sodium.
I can't remember.
It's lithium, potassium, cesium.
Lithium, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Sodium,
What is a
in-
lithium shortage?
sodium in water is
Yes,
just
I do know that.
sodium in water is just mostly going to be salty water.
Well, the
depending
point
on how you get
being,
your sodium.
the point being is that like either way, that to me is success. But that's all irrelevant. I've dropped my KDG stocks. I'm done with him. He's over. He's done. He's passe. I don't believe in KDG anymore. So
Does someone sign him? That's the question that I want to push forward because like KDG is one of the most veteran coaches in the thing. Like APAC team could go for him. Like we've
Why
seen
would
it
he
before.
join the Mayhem?
No, would somebody? I didn't say Mayhem. If I said Mayhem, would someone pick him up? Oh, you fuck.
yeah, yeah. Also, by the way, I'm just gonna put a science fact. So concentrated sodium in water also causes explosions. Just gonna
Does
put
it?
that.
Really?
Oh, there you go. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Science fact. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I had no
I knew
idea.
I was right. I knew I was right.
Sorry.
Do you think KDG is a good coach?
So
the poll is in.
The poll is in with 1% less than dpei. KDG. Oh no, sorry. Whoa, my brain. So it's flipped the opposite way around. So the same amount of people that thought dpei was a good coach do not think KDG is a good coach. But I feel like if you had said this, if we had asked this question in the off season, I don't think that's the answer that we would have gotten. Personally, I think it would have been way more split.
In the offseason, it was definitely split because I believe this was his last chance. This was like last chance you know? This was his last chance to prove to me that like this is a good roster. You can't fuck this one up or else like I don't have any faith in you anymore. I don't.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people like it's not just the fact that you got dropped. I think a lot of people would have been with Connor there as well. Like it's like that kickoff clash showing and like the internal strife, everything that they tried to do. It's from the outside looking in, it's a bad look for the head coach.
Sure. Let's move on to New York. I've got some. I mean, okay. Vulcan. Our title says Vulcan dropped from NYXL. Vulcan's 30-day contract expired with NYXL, which means that they must have had someone else as their sixth player on the roster, right? Which means it must have presumably been Kuki, their coach, is also signed as a player.
Rumors.
But you need 6 players.
Unless it hasn't been announced yet.
But they needed them at the beginning of the season. They needed 6 players, and Vulcan didn't count because he was on a 30-day contract.
Oh.
Kuki is listed as a player on the Overwatch League website for the New York Excelsior.
Kuki is.
There you go.
Kuki is, if you go to the Overwatch League website and you go to the team of the NYXL, Kuki is a player on that list.
Right.
I don't know if it's just because it is, or if that's actually true and that's how it's stated.
And conversely, on the what is their brand? What is their fucking branding now for the org? It's not Anbox. It's NYXL. They just stole. Okay, so like for the org's like website, they never even listed Vulcan as a player on this team either. So like it's just
Kuki's
fun.
in his Valiant jersey.
That's just
and this has been
bonkers.
updated because just recently Vulcan was on this list. I had a look at a couple of days. So it's not like it's wrong or it's outdated or anything like that, like the Overwatch League website has been. I think potentially Kuki is signed as a player coach.
Yeah, I mean, they need a 6th player. Otherwise, they wouldn't be allowed. And the front office has said that every team had the minimum amount of players. Just starting from the Vulcan perspective, I assume that he was signed just in case there were going to be visa issues with Kellen, right? I assume that's the case. And then it just didn't end up happening. So he's just been sat there kind of collecting a 30-day check.
What did he tweet? He tweeted something funny, no?
Oh, did he?
I think so.
I didn't see it.
I have no idea.
Vulcan
I mean,
tweeted,
it was very impossible to find him because the org treated him like he didn't exist. So I had no idea, like, where there was no amplification of his socials at any point. So I had no idea where to find him.
See if I can find this tweet.
Oh, Kurt's found him. Kurt's faster than you are. While the language barrier made it hard to compete, it was fun being a part of the team, and I am thankful for the opportunity.
This was not funny at all.
Funny.
How droll.
Maybe it was somebody else's tweet that I thought was funny. I mean, that's just a normal tweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very normal tweet.
That's just a tweet of sadness of saying,
Yeah,
I
that's
could not
actually
compete
kind of
with this
sad.
roster.
It's like, yeah.
Well, that also does say, though, that he did at some point play with them, right?
Try, like maybe scrimmed.
Yeah, must have played some scrims or something.
I mean,
with
you
them.
never know what the smoke screen is, though, honestly, I'm going to say. You
The
never know.
smoke
What,
screen.
Sure.
you never
He's
know what the
spoken like a
smoke
man who's been living behind the scenes in the Overwatch scene for a while. He's seen the truth, and he can't reveal it to the people.
You never know. You know, I'm just saying that, like, there's always a lots of when something passes through the front office of an organization, you don't know what comes out on the other side. So it just I don't know.
New York
I don't know what that
fans,
means
though,
exactly.
New York fans are in absolute shambles this season. Just as an opportunity to talk about it, this team at one point was the definition of excellence within Overwatch, and then over the first 2 seasons, that went down a little bit. And then, you know, the rebuild, we had Matt Morello on here constantly saying, look, I think this is the right direction for them. They can focus on the talent that really works for them. They're building for the future, etc., etc. Like he'd been paid off as a New York...
Maybe he has.
Possibly, but I think it was just because he's from New York. I mean, who knows? Maybe he had been paid off. Wouldn't surprise me. But this team now has no functioning sub because their coach is their sub. They're running 5 players, league minimum, Florida Mayhem looking vibes of 2018. And this team has not been anywhere near as successful as the player quality would indicate. You know, if you've got Flora and Yaki as your DPS line, you should be able to, and Kellen as well, you should be able to do something, but this team has just not been able to do anything at all. Sad time for New York.
I have nothing more to add, really.
I'm going to say, if this team does not sign a 6th player or any other player, this team is in Washington Justice tier of dead to me. Because, like, it's really frustrating. Because they have good players, like, and they have good pieces around it, and I assume that they have somewhat of good salary. It's crazy to me that they have so much inflexibility, and they just refuse to sign more players. Like, they just need a Lucio player. If they signed a main support player and they played Gungam Gym Flex support, I think that is an instant upgrade, like, very quickly. And if you give a little bit more flexibility with one more DPS player for Yaki and Flora, I think it gives you a lot. And I'm shocked they haven't gone that route yet.
So I'm going to we'll talk about it later, but I do think theoretically the meta shift that's likely coming up in the Overwatch League.
Could people play 4v4 so they actually have a sub?
No, not about that. I just think the meta shift could potentially do this team wonders, but that's besides the point, because much like how Matthew Morello has been gone from this podcast a long time, New York's relevancy has also gone. So it's like I don't know, like this team is just sad. It's just sad. It's like it's what is that? Just like an old husk of itself. You know, there's some life still scudding around in there, but it's
a discarded shell.
And the Vulcan situation is probably like I know they had reasons for it, like there are real reasons why, but I have to say that like it was just kind of heinous to witness from the outside. Obviously, you don't know like what went on the inside here, right? What all the legal reasons or whatever, but like if you see a player signed that's clearly not going to be integrated with the rest of the roster, they forget to include him on their own website and pages, and they never amplify it socials. It feels he doesn't even show up in like content any of the time for them, like. This just feels like, I mean, I'm sure Vulcan's laughing his way to the bank. He's like, oh, I got 30 days of money, right? So, like, great, but also, like, come on.
Well, it's the play, right? Like, that's
well,
the main
also not
thing,
just that. It's just kind of, you at least have to pretend that, like, he was a player. You at least have, like, that's my minimum thing. Like, I get, orgs will sign players for contracts for things, for all sorts of reasons. Drop, that's just business. It's board for business. You sign, you drop, you cut, like, it's just how it is. But you have to at least pretend. You have to, or else you're just saying like I have just you have to at least pretend, or else like you're exposing the soulless machinery beneath this facade. So
a lot of teams have been doing a very hard job of that. They've been letting the rubber mask slip.
Yeah,
that hides their Android-like features.
I've been reading Brad Rajani's tweets.
Okay.
Just take a left.
Is that
turn
in
here.
relation to Soulless Mask, or is that just something else? Okay.
No. In fact, the opposite. If there was anyone in the league who is not a soulless mask, it's Brad. He's a lovely guy. He was tweeting about the format of the Overwatch League, and that this seemed to spark a wider discussion where the fans were weighing in as well. Where, just as a brief overview, the current format has changed compared to last time because your points now qualify you for the mid-season tournament rather than just your record in the 4 weeks prior. So it's very much a mid-season tournament. It's the best teams of the mid-season. But the issue with that is you get the majority of your points by having done well in the kickoff clash. So the idea here being that essentially the APAC teams at the very minimum, if not many of the North American teams, are just, if you were on the outside of the kickoff clash, you're going to be on the outside of the mid-season tournament. There's not really that much you can do about it unless you pull off something incredible and your competition
There's
dips
no, like,
as well.
LC
Yeah,
Q
the graphics are very good. Like, look at the graphics displays it, like, show how these two images that are linked here by the user on Reddit. This shows it very succinctly, and like, I have to say, I don't know what happened to what caused this, but this isn't to like. I was thinking about this preseason, but now that I see it visualized as well, like thinking about it more, like, but that because obviously at the end of the day, like, pictures easy, words hard. And like when you really visualize it, this system doesn't make any sense comparatively to what it was last year.
All right, here's what I remember. I was talking about this recently, and we were talking about this the tweet on my stream, and Matt was in the channel, and he was trying to like define, because he is a big proponent of like why these things are decided in this way, and he was saying that the big difference is that people aren't realizing that midseason is supposed to be a culmination of the two stages. So like it isn't supposed to just be like they're separate entities, and they're like the kickoff clash is supposed to have a domino effect onto the midseason because they want the performance of the kickoff clash and in the playoffs to be a boon for them. And I see both sides. I definitely think there is some issues of like snowballing through the league. I think it's more impactful going towards the playoffs, but that is kind of fixed a little bit by what I said earlier, where the top 6 teams automatically qualify, and the 7 to 10 will have a chance to play in for the playoffs. So really only 3 teams are going to get screwed in NA, and it's like 1 in APAC. So it's like who aren't going to get a chance to go to the playoffs.
Didn't they already have play-ins last year as well, though?
Yeah, they did. But like, it's about, the interesting thing about it is the reason that people were getting points and it is so snowbally is, funnily enough, last year when the Atlanta Reign and Selfless Brad tweeted that it was a waste of time for them to go to Hawaii because they didn't get any points because they came 4th. So the whole point of this snowballing is because everyone gets a point just for showing up to the kickoff clash playoffs. And that's what creates this heavy snowball of so many teams. So if you missed out on coming to the kickoff clash playoffs, then you're so far behind. Like London Spitfire, by only missing out by like a map difference of like 1 or 2, is 1 map point behind Washington Justice, right? If that like 1 match point, sorry. So it just like, there's both sides of the coin that I can see.
Yeah,
the mid-season tournament is, or at least was supposed to be, a massive like global event as well. The literal format is different from last year because what that graphic doesn't indicate is that, so if you go to the 2021 graphic, all of these were global tournaments. All of them. The Kickoff Clash is not a global tournament. The Kickoff Clash is a regional tournament. And then the Summer Showdown is also a regional tournament, right? Your mid-season is designed to be the only one this year, apart from the playoffs.
Yeah, it's one like of the big pinnacles of the season.
It's like an early playoffs kind of thing, yeah. But the point that Brad brings up that I think has the biggest weighting here is that for North America, this doesn't apply to APAC because it's a round robin, but for North America, your strength of schedule can snowball you out of control. Yeah. And that, I think, is a big problem. But the strength of schedule argument doesn't apply to APAC, where it has the largest effect. Like this has the largest effect for APAC, in my opinion, because it's the most of the teams, like a large amount of the teams, got those points proportionally. And so if you're like a Chengdu that's at home, you've missed out compared to all of your competition. Whereas the North American teams all of the teams that would be competing at the top anyway, all kind of got the points no matter what. But for APAC, it doesn't really work like that. Anyway, the idea being here, APAC is round robin. Strength of schedule does not matter for APAC. It does for North America, and I think that is the biggest issue. Because if you start with a really bad strength of schedule, then you've potentially, I mean, through no fault of your own, just kind of had your season snowballed to get away.
It's why, I don't know. I was a big proponent of the 2021 kind of format, but actually having the in-person tournaments at each one. So like you have Hawaii for May Melee, and then the Midsummer Showdown is like the teams fly out for it, and then you have Hawaii for Summer Showdown, and then I remember when I was saying on the podcast this, I got absolutely destroyed. I got owned by the masses, the people. But part of the reason I liked it is because it just added that qualification period for that tournament, and then you had the teams playing in it as opposed to it being kind of all over the place if you look at the 2022 one. But I'm going to be honest, when I was saying that, I didn't know how the fucking points and the qualification was going to work out with the format.
No, I didn't even think about this.
I wasn't even thinking about this aspect of it. This wasn't the reason that I was critical of this format. It was for other reasons. So, it definitely doesn't. This format doesn't really take into account the fact that it was supposed to be this mid-season madness of this big pinnacle for the middle of the season where the best teams so far were to compete.
But the idea is supposed to be the same. Kickoff Clash gets you to mid-season. Summer Showdown gets you to playoffs. But then it also, like, you're getting, still for the end of the season, you're getting all of those bonus points from the first half of the season as well.
Yeah, I feel like this system last year was, like, I get why, like, once again, the explanation that Matt gave is a perfectly reasonable explanation, right? And that Custa highlighted is that there are two sides of the argument of, like, why they do it this way. It's not completely nonsensical, but it is also, the reality is like the last year's format. I don't think the only people that complained about, I feel like there were complaints about last year's format, specifically Atlanta. But once again, it's like, I lambasted them last year for them complaining about it, because at the end of the day, I don't give a shit if you don't get any points for going. Like, the whole point is you go, right? Like, you're going to compete, and like you have the opportunity to earn points. With like, versus the system here where it's like, I don't know if he says, because now Brad is suggesting we need independent qualifiers for midseason madness, but then it's like, well, then aren't you just essentially going back to the same system almost if you just have an independent qualifier now?
It's going to be on Hawaii anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it would be pretty much the same system. And also, the other thing that ignores is when you have individual qualifiers, that is also impacted by strength of schedule. I mean, who makes it to the kickoff clash or the mid-season invitational, if you changed it, is also based on your strength of schedule. If you have an easier strength of schedule, you're more likely to get the points. It just doesn't have the snowball the reality the second is time around.
They should just have, the format was relatively fine. It like obviously had issues, but there's no perfect format. There is no perfect format ever. It's never going to exist. That's just a fact. But having stages where everyone has the opportunity to make it to a tournament regardless of and not get snowballed is inherently better. And then now if you're telling me you want independent qualifiers for the tournament, you're just going back to the same system. It's the same system, just with more steps, and even worse, because now you've influenced it with your schedule. Like, maybe they should put like sort of noise gate on the Atlanta Rain comps, so they can just, their feedback has to pass a certain level of decibel to make it to the league, so they, before they knee-jerk reaction, because like it's silly. Like this, if you're telling me that their feedback was part of the reasons this was changed, and then now they're telling me they just want to go back to the old system anyways, with the independent qualifier, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck, man? Like, I mean, come on. Like, really? It's just silly to me.
I understand what you mean there. I think also at the end of the day, Overwatch League playoffs have so many teams involved that you get your opportunity to win via playing matches at the end of the season if you are good enough to be able to do that, which is what Atlanta did last year. They actually did that. They got enough points to be able to make it, and then they won a lot of games. All right. The other big piece of news that we missed last week, which we didn't talk about, was the Paris Eternal becoming the Vegas Eternal. So this team, the Eternal, are now moving to Vegas. This was rumored because the team had filed some kind of legal something or other. I can't remember what that was. But then they came out and announced it, that yes, their 2023 plans are to go to Vegas. This is the first thing we've seen about 2023.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of speculation of like, the league's over, it's going to die after this year. And then Eternal are like, no one told us. We're going to Vegas. I mean, presumably, presumably a good thing overall for the well, not a good thing for the Doomers, but a good thing against the Doomer narrative.
Sure. Yeah, there was behind the scenes rumors that it was like I remember Doe was tweeting about the league potentially lasting like 5 years or something, right? I remember Doe had like a series of tweets about it being the end of this is a
there
while
was definitely
ago.
there was definitely a league. I know what you're talking about, Brennan. Like how they said like there's a rule of like the league had to last
Had to last for a certain amount of time. Yeah,
but
I mean,
I don't know what the exact amount.
Outside of that,
was,
I wouldn't be surprised if the COVID situation, the COVID pandemic, had put almost like a stopgap in terms of just because we already know there was a report about the Overwatch League and CDL teams delaying their payments towards Blizzard, towards the Overwatch League and CDL, which they would have to normally pay based on their contracts, but they essentially have shoved it off. I mean, it seems like a lot of leeway has been given to the teams as well, which, would incentivize the teams, I think, as well to just continue it on. It almost like the COVID year was, they pushed it to the one side in terms of just the overall expenses.
Yeah, it's not just the COVID year, though. It was 2 years. I think it was something like...
Yeah, I mean, well, it's... Yeah.
If you can find it, it was a report written by Jacob Wolf, I believe, where he was talking about CDL and Overwatch franchise payments being delayed. But he also said in there that one of the people that was in charge of it proposed axing them entirely.
Right.
And just getting rid of them, which that didn't go anywhere. But so all of these franchises, though, have essentially been given like a loan, I guess, by the Overwatch League, a deferment of that payment.
Yes, a deferment.
But that means that these, there we go. Activision Blizzard's owed $400 million in franchise payments for these franchises, both in CDL and Overwatch League. So the 20 franchises in the Overwatch League owe the publisher roughly $6 to $7.5 million each, for a total of $120 to $150 million that the Overwatch League has decided they are not going to be taking in order to give the teams more ability and like liquidity to operate during the pandemic. What that also means, though, is that so Jacob Wolf also wrote a separate thing where he was talking about the potential of this being a move to sell the franchise. There's one franchise that's already recently been sold in CDL. There have been reports frequently, or not frequently, but there have been multiple reports about Cloud9 trying to sell their franchise spot in the Overwatch League with the London Spitfire, even after they just won the title in 2018. And they ended up getting an outside company to run London Spitfire. It's not actually run by Cloud9 anymore. And so the theory here from Jacob was that maybe this is a move to try and sell the Eternal. So, yeah, it's...
That's an interesting point. Because
I was difficult one as well, I think, because who the hell wants to buy? Especially if you have to take on their debt of like 7 million, 8 million.
I was wondering, like, who's the owner of the Paris Eternal? Because we generally know, like, the owners of most of the teams, but I didn't actually know the Paris one. And it's actually owned by the son of the French soccer team, Olympique de Marseille, or something like that. And it's like,
Marseille.
To me, that seems very interesting that they would want to move to Vegas. So that also aligns up with, like, it's probably easier to sell a Vegas for.
They're not French, they're American, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
They just own a French team.
Yeah, they just own a French team.
There are no
European
European investors in Overwatch League, which is probably part of the reason why London Spitfire and Paris have been so fucked over. I mean, also because of the pandemic and the fact that they were, and
also just
miles
not
away
engaging with the European audience for years prior.
Yeah, and the lack of homestands, and there's just 1,000 reasons why the Euro fans got fucked. But that's probably one of them, is that the investment didn't come from that area as well. Yeah, intriguing. Surely you can't be a poverty team and from Vegas, though.
Why not?
You can't be paying people $50K and be in
Vegas
the city
is pretty
of...
cheap.
Why not?
Vegas is cheap?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
do you know why all the streamers move there? There's no state income tax. Yeah, like
it's just
all the streamers
the
move there.
brand would be so weird. You're called the Vegas Eternal, and you're just the...
Well, I think of Vegas as
eternally
quite
cheap.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you go there.
I think of
stuff's
Vegas
made
as
out
just
of, like fiberglass and shit.
I think of Vegas as astounding amounts of money being spent at all times on frivolous activities. That's what I think of when I think of Vegas.
On the strip, but everything around that is
they'll do
very
well
cheap.
in the Overwatch League then.
Why do you have like any other strong brand associations or anything? Like I don't really get like why is it this brand that sticks out to you and not like or why aren't the Gladiators doing Bloodsport? Like I don't understand why this is your one you're objecting to.
It's the city, not the brand. I'm not saying why aren't the Eternal fucking living forever. Why aren't the Eternal using the same roster that they began with? That goes against the brand. No, but I mean the city. Like for example, if I don't know. I can't even think about it. But if, for example, you had like the LA Demons, it's called like the City of Angels, and you had the I don't know. It seems weird to have a poverty team in Vegas. But
no, I mean a poverty team. I don't feel like it. I mean, I would consider London a city of more spectacular wealth than Vegas, and their team's poverty.
Yeah,
dude. If anything, they're saving money by moving to Vegas massively, just in terms of not having to have their base of operations in a foreign country.
Probably.
Also, let's be real. They've essentially like the thing is, it is a net positive move for the franchise. It's just a net overall dicking for the European fans because but that's like. The thing is, because this it's very clear this org and also the general direction of the Overwatch League is not this org clearly was not really trying to interact with its European fan base. It felt like, it didn't feel like they were,
did in that season where they signed a bunch of French players.
In that one season, right?
They had, what, Nico Soon, Ben Best, and
2018 and 2019 because they kept a lot of the French players.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's their overall direction has not been something European based. Not been something European based. It's not been something that's.
I mean, it makes sense. The move,
it just makes
sense. I think it sucks for the European fans, but European Overwatch has been left to the wayside since 2016. So
breaking news.
True.
Sound the alarms.
Breaking news.
Sound the alarms. There's been a tweet, presumably.
Oh.
Kurt has found it. Reinforcers has joined the engaged meta. Apparently so. There you go.
Yo!
Mr. Reinforce Larsen. God, we are on this. This is the advantage of having it live.
Live react.
I have no idea where they are right now, but that's the reason they're not on the show, because they're getting engaged. There it is.
Wow.
Johnny looks so proud in that previous picture. Look at him.
He does.
Look at him.
I did it.
Like she said yes.
That's so wholesome.
Very wholesome. I don't know where they are at all, but there you go.
Looks
what
lovely.
are they? I mean, living the bougie life. Jonathan
Dude,
has really
Johnny
been
is
living
the
some
bougie man.
life.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's incredible, really, isn't it?
He is the bougiest individual I've ever met in esports, I think. Like so far that came
true.
in. No. That's endemically. Like I'm not talking about like some like head like business honcho dude that's like an investor, right? I'm talking about like just a gamer, like a gamer that came up through the ranks and like is now just a personality. Like he is the only one that comes close is like Veli, maybe. But like, I mean, like, dude, Johnny is like for just a pro gamer. He is the bougiest ex-pro gamer. Like
he's learned about the finer things in life. That's what he's done.
He got me a very expensive bottle of wine for my birthday.
Did the same thing in Hawaii. Like it was like $300. You want to get this $400 bottle of wine? I'm like, sure.
you got it. You had a $400 bottle of wine.
It was like it was after the Overwatch League finals, so we were celebrating. But yeah, it was good.
Okay,
I really like wine as well. So
I think the most expensive bottle of wine I've ever had was. Yeah, it was like $7.
$7. There's no shot.
$7. There's no way that's
there's no way. No. I've spent. I think I've spent like $15 on a bottle of wine before, probably.
That's so crazy. But
not more than that. Anyway, well, I went to France once. My sister used to live in France. I went there and I was looking at the €5, €10 bottles of wine because I wanted to buy her a gift. I was like, "Oh yeah, you're having me over. I'm going to buy the wine for tonight." And she said, "Why are you looking at the expensive wines? All of the wine in France is good." So she's grabbing from the €2 segment. And we had it, and it was delicious. So maybe Jonathan just needs to go and live in France.
Yeah.
Or maybe that was because I was 19 and didn't understand what good wine tastes like.
My man just got engaged, and you guys are telling him how to live his life.
Congratulations to Jonathan and Steph. Congratulations. You're not going to win Bren's Play of the Week, though.
You've already won it.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
That's what I said. He didn't win it.
That's what he says.
He didn't win it when he
Dude,
got
what a
engaged.
canonical cop-out, you know? Like,
really
I mean,
is.
it's just...
Dude, everyone in my life, I am 26 years of age. I am surrounded by people who are getting into that period of the mid-20s to 30s who are getting married.
When are you getting engaged?
I mean... That mustache is looking like a dad stash. Do you have any children you want to tell us
Do I
about?
have any children? No, I don't think so. I don't think I do. But the point is, every week, it would never go to a player. The people were in uprising. They were going against me because I wasn't giving it to any Overwatch League players consistently. And then it just wouldn't go. I know so many people, Josh. Every weekend, someone's getting married.
I know so many people.
I know so many people. I'm world renowned. I've met people from across the globe. Everyone's getting married every single weekend. Everyone would get the award every week.
Fair.
Who am I supposed to give it to? Who's this? Who's getting married this week? Is it Kurt? Is it Wyatt? Who? Everyone, I had to do it. The show could not continue if I did not give it to anyone who was going to get married and has been married and will get married and will ever get married in the future. It would not have been able to continue. Okay. Move on, host. Move on.
Okay. Let's move on. There was a report. Molly joining the Los Angeles Valiant. This was a report that having recently left the Guangzhou Charge, right? I'm getting confused because these players are going all over the place. But having recently left the Guangzhou Charge, Molly is now reported to join the Valiant. This is from Halo. Do you think this makes waves, makes the moves? I anticipate some of these APAC players getting changed around quite a bit for the Charge, honestly, because they have a lot of people now that they could take from that Chengdu team. And apparently Valiant are picking up... It's like Chengdu should be picking up the pieces from... Sorry. Guangzhou should be picking up the old Chengdu pieces. And then Valiant are picking up the old Guangzhou pieces. Oh, is this carousel going to benefit anybody?
I think it's interesting because Farway and Molly are both, I would say, the two best pieces of the Guangzhou Charge right now. I really like Molly. We obviously haven't seen him much lately, but you know, he hasn't really played since he was on Chengdu. He's going into the 4-team club right now. If he does get signed to the Los Angeles Valiant, he collected a ring on the Shanghai Dragons, but he didn't play at all because he was under Izayaki. And then he's at Guangzhou Charge. He's like, I'm gonna finally be able to play, guys. I'm gonna be able to show my gifts. And then they sign Farway, and then he just never gets to play a map. So I hope he ends up on the Valiant because I think he is a better player than Coldest.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I've always rated Molly as a player, even though they didn't see too much playtime in Shanghai. I feel like they did play some in the Shanghai season during the regular season. No,
Yeah, a tiny.
it was like
bit,
a tiny amount.
Yeah,
But
they're
they
like
didn't
similar
get
to
I didn't get to show them,
develop.
but they've always been a great player, and it is an upgrade.
Is
over
Molly
Coldest.
better than Coldest?
Yeah, I think so.
Where?
He was really good in Chengdu, but that is at this point in 2020.
It's been ancient.
Molly's
I know.
kind of nasty.
I
I'm not
don't
gonna
think
lie.
I could confidently say who's better at
Why
this
would-
point because
Yeah, at
it's
this
just been
point you can't
forever.
really.
I wouldn't
do
be
think it's a good
surprised if he
move,
sat on the
though.
bench.
Yeah.
It's a good move because, like I said, of the potential, there is a potential meta shift coming up where
Yes.
teams have been rumored that they are going back to double flex support, or even like Brigida Zin or stuff like that. So like, there is a potential move there for the Charge that does upgrade them. I don't think this is like necessarily the piece that they needed to change by any means, but you know, someone has to carry on. Someone has to move beyond what who's currently at the highest number of teams now. Is there anyone above the Fissure amount, like the 4? Like it's
How many
14 the
Fissure?
highest
4?
right now.
I think it's 4, yeah, is the highest number.
Has no one gone more above 4 yet?
Well,
So-
Molly must be at 4 now.
Yeah,
He's
we-
about
if
to
he
get to
makes
4.
this move. If this move happens, it's 4 for him. So
Yeah.
we need someone to get to the 5. Hopefully.
Maybe Molly can go to.
How many's Fury?
Spark.
go to like Spark or something. So,
Fury's been on 3.
Yuri?
Yeah, Philly,
London,
London,
Philly.
Washington.
Washington. Yeah. I mean, okay. Yeah. We're gonna take a short break. When we come back, we're gonna be doing predictions. All right. We're gonna be predicting so damn hard. And mine are gonna be kooky. I can tell you that right
Really?
from the off.
Oh,
They
no.
are kooky. Thank you to the people that have become members during this episode. Appreciate you very much as well. Gonna take a short break here. Put 3 minutes on the clock, and we're chilling. Big chilling. I didn't Jonathan didn't tell me at all that he was planning on getting engaged. I want to hear the story next time he's on. Next week, we're going to hear.
Talked to him on Wednesday, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm heading over to Maine, family." I'm like, "Oh, that sounds a lovely weekend." He's like, "Just get a weekend away," and then just refused to tell me. I can't believe he didn't tell me. I thought we were friends. Instead, he doesn't want to tell me before he tells Stephanie. It's crazy.
Yeah. I like my headcanon that it's like every time he went to Maine, he proposed, but it's only this time that she said yes. How is chat doing? Are you doing okay today,
Hi,
little
chat.
chuff you?
Looks like chat's chatting.
Oh.
Good to see you, chat.
Can we get some actually, you guys can't comment. I mean, at the end of the episode though, chat, just to prime you, I'm going to ask you to all leave a comment saying congratulations, reinforcing Steph. But I'm going to make sure to say reinforce so that we use his gamer name.
Epic gamer handle.
Welcome to member.
Welcome to member. Kathkat, C, Tachikoma, and Reboot, and Sizable Yeet. Thank you for doing it during this episode as well. Appreciate you.
Poo-poo.
Chat, I'm
really-
also going to prime you.
Now that we can read chat, how do you guys rate Bren's intro?
Yeah, what do you guys think of it? Do you want to
super. Apparently, super chat is disabled. No wonder
Okay.
we got 0 super chats. Thanks for letting me know, C. I will fix that right now.
Sense.
I'm also priming chat here with Omega 7BXY, and that's for all the sleeper agents, so they can activate right now. And I don't know what you're gonna do, but something's gonna happen.
Beep, beep, boop, boop. There we go. Super chat is now enabled. You might have to reset.
Nice.
Refresh the stream.
After the episode's like, what we're like, well, luckily they'll have time. They'll have time.
Well,
They got
it's
some
good to
time.
know, because if I didn't read that chat message, because we look at chat, we care about chat, I wouldn't have known. So, thank you.
True.
People didn't like the intro. Actually, it's extremely divisive. There's haters and there's lovers. I'm
That's
in the
a good
lover
intro
territory.
then.
Yeah.
It's a good intro in my opinion, because if it causes controversy,
I was just
then-
taking a pee. Did we have super chats disabled the
Yeah.
whole episode?
Yeah, the whole episode.
God, that's so funny. That is the
Yeah.
ultimate dono wall. I mean, that is just
Yeah.
an impenetrable dono
The
wall.
whole episode.
God, how have I brought this from my stream to the show as well? It's incredible. All right, okay. Welcome back. Welcome back. We're going to do our match predictions. When I filled these in, I was off the goop. So I just want to start by saying, there is no chance that we're aligned with these.
Oh, really?
There's no
What if we're all
chance.
off the goop at the same time?
Oh,
I have
okay,
some interesting
so
ones actually. I think.
what Avast said about the meta, I have ignored team's performance entirely and predded solely off the meta.
Oh, okay.
Wait, what do you think the meta is?
I'm assuming the meta is going to be either Zen Bap or Zen Brig. That's what I'm assuming.
You've just gambled on the meta.
Yes. Sometimes you need to take a punt, and the beginning of a new meta is the perfect time to take a punt. So I've punted.
So the new patch is going to be the support buff patch.
The Zen one and the Baptiste.
Yes.
The Baptiste
Right.
one is crazy as well.
Yeah, there's also the Baptiste. And there's also Soldier Change.
I mean, look at
Wow,
this.
Bren,
This is
welcome. We're
embarrassing,
so
by the
good.
way.
We're so good, Bren.
This is kind of embarrassing.
That is embarrassing.
I'm literally, listen, my man, I'm not in the league anymore. I'm just fucking chilling. I'm like, pick this team. 78%, 70%. What are you guys doing?
What the fuck am I doing? I can tell you.
I mean, to
what.
be fair, that's
after
not
this
that
week,
crazy.
after this week, I'm either down to 50% or I'm leading. There's no in between. Let's.
It's like the more knowledge you get, the more. What the curse of knowledge?
There's too much noise. You can't separate the signal from the noise.
Yeah. Ignorance is bliss.
Did we have a Timmy thing? Oh, Oh, of course, because there was no matches last week. That makes perfect sense. Okay, well then let's jump into our matches coming up this week. We've got the Florida Mayhem taking on the London Spitfire here. And we've all gone with the Mayhem.
That's kind of surprising.
We've all gone with the Mayhem. Are we all off the goop this week?
Okay. No, we're not all off the goop.
This is slightly goopy.
I'm going to preface my thing as well here. I am working off insider information in terms of meta. So I am working on insider information. I strongly believe all my picks are strongly influenced by meta decisions as well.
Okay, I thought someone would take a gamble on London. I didn't feel doable personally. I feel like this meta, if we're in a poke kind of meta, it should be worse for London's style, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they can't rush everywhere, because if there's too much damage with the Zen Bap, like if they play Zen Bap and they play Kariv Majed, I'm in for that.
London are a smart team when they play their little brawly comp. Always weaving in and out,
London could do a lot better than we expect, actually. They impressed me last stage with how smart they did play. So I don't think this is going to be if the meta turns out the way with this double flex support and the lack of Ryan and such like that and less rush, I wouldn't be surprised to see London still do pretty decently. I just have a hard time believing they're going to come close to the highs they had last stage. So,
Pogger's first super chat. Finally, it's fixed. Thank you. Right, thanks for the super chat. Thanks for the interaction. There you go. You see, it does work.
But who was it? Who was the super chat from?
This one, it was from Rye. I just said from Rye.
Rye Bromide.
Oh,
Rye
I didn't
Bromide.
hear that.
I might have overreacted a little bit here with this. It's the favorite. All four of us have gone with the favorite. Can we smile for the camera though? Because this one is giving our Plat Chat guarantee.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, that's so good.
When the London Spitfire inevitably win because we've cursed it, take that little screenshot, post it on Twitter. Free clout.
Free social media.
Clout. It's so good.
Dude, the thing is, it's so much less cursed in Overwatch than it is in Valorant. Valorant, everyone fucking roll. I mean, they're just they should stop predicting. They should just quit. And then here in Overwatch, people are still sometimes the predictions are fun and quaint. So
Fun and quaint.
Well, this next one, okay, we've got a genuine banger match happening here. This was the match that we kind of dodged in the kickoff clash and set up wonderfully. It's San Francisco Shock against the Dallas Fuel.
Dude, what? There's no way we've all gone shock.
We've all gone shock.
Are we all working with insider knowledge of the meta?
I've already publicly stated. I publicly stated.
This is what I said.
Knowledge.
I thought I was gonna at least have two people predicting against me here. Okay, so listen, I'm on the outside. I don't talk to the players or anything. I'm just assuming we're in a pokey kind of meta where Violet's gonna be able to either pop the fuck off playing BAP or Zen, but I suppose Finn would probably be playing that. Or he's going to be playing
we forgot
Brig,
about Mikey
and he's
getting
good at
signed
Brig.
for Shock.
Oh, yeah, Mikey got signed.
Oh,
We didn't talk about this.
Oh, we didn't put this in.
forgot
Sorry,
about this
Mikey.
one.
Sorry, Mikey.
But welcome to Shock. You're about to lose to Dallas this week.
No, they're winning.
Okay, I also think he's an interesting signing. But
you two insiders, what's the juice here?
Okay.
Why has everyone gone Shock?
Okay, I don't actually have super inside knowledge, but when I was in Texas, I was talking and spitballing with some of the coaches from some of the teams, and they were also agreeing that double flex is probably the direction it's going to go. And Shock just Finn and Violet on double flex. They can put Kaluj on Sigma, which is said to be one of his best heroes. It's going to be good. Dallas, they look like a one-trick pony as well, and I don't think that pony is going to work in this tournament.
But they also have
I'm worried about
Hanbin.
them.
I mean, Hanbin's still going to be insanely good on Sigma, no?
My brain was like,
Sigma the
I should
defining
predict
factor?
Dallas.
Well, what else do they play in a poke comp?
No, they do, but why is Sigma the difference maker?
I'm not saying it's the difference maker. I'm just saying, when Scott says they're a one-trick pony team, part of why they were so incredible on the Zarya comp is because Hanbin was insane on Zarya, but I think he's also going to be good on...
Outlandish impact when he was playing Zarya. Outlandish. He was doing it better than anybody else. He was being supported. He just literally he was locked in with the horse blinders on, and he would just kill what was in front of him and just trusted his team to kill what was behind him, and he would just dominate. He would destroy. You don't have that same impact playing Sigma. You just don't.
Probably not, but also we haven't really seen too much Sigma solo tank apart from Circuit Royale
you know,
when the Pokemon's get played.
in the meta. And the Sigma still does have a lot of impact there. It's mostly about avoiding getting punished by the poke. I mean, bad Sigma players will be getting rolled in those situations.
This is my meta. I'm making top 500 if the beta was out. And
well, we'll be out in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, we'll be out.
I'd be right there with you. I'd be kicking people away from you.
I was bigging myself up.
You need peel? I'm running in with Zen.
I was bigging myself up on stream saying, like, if the beta was out and I was playing, listen, I'd be a top 500 Doomfist tank, and Hunter was in my chat saying, this motherfucker peaked Plat. You would be shit. He's like shit talking me in my own chat. I'm like, Hunter, can you leave, please?
What is top 500 in the beta? That's probably Diamond, isn't it?
There's no. Oh right, there's no
Who
rank.
knows, right? There's no rank.
Just a little,
Like,
just a little troll. Just a little.
Yeah,
troll.
no, that's all right. You got me again.
Connor, is it the same reasoning for the Shock? Is it just that Finn Violet backline is impossible to overlook?
I think. Well, also, I think the one thing that we're overlooking here a bit is the fact that Dallas actually can't play double flex support if they wanted to because they have Chio, and they don't actually have the option to play a double flex support, right? Because Chio is a main support player that was mostly Brigida. So if double flex was an option, yeah, Brig would still probably be good. I imagine from what I've been hearing, Brig is probably still a very good pick, right? But the thing is, they don't have someone that's natively a flex support player or has played flex support, that option for Valiant. Also, in addition, I think something that's pretty big that's been overlooked is that Gurio has not had amazing hit scan performances. He's been good at times, but he's also been meh at other times. And you compare that to the Shock DPS line, I mean, just imagine those two on like imagine proper. I mean, imagine just like the DPS diff that could occur at times with the Shock
proper
DPS.
And Kilo.
You know, proper and Kilo in a hard hit scan meta versus like Gurio, who's had some pretty middling performances at times. Like he hasn't been. I think a lot of people have been shitting on him, be like, oh, he's bad. He's not bad. He's just been middling. Like you need an amazing hit scan performance if you're going to be like competing at the top, right? And they still have the weird situation with Sparkle and Doha of like, you know, who's playing, and because their pure pools are pretty close.
Well, they could run Edison, right? They could run Edison.
They could also run Edison. They could also run Edison Gurio as well, which is also an interesting move. But we haven't seen a lot of Edison hit scan. It's been mostly Reaper, right? But I mean, his hit scan's been good in the past. But like, they do have some options. It's just, I just don't feel like their rotation is nearly as confident in this meta as I would feel for Shock.
Okay.
So
all right. So listen, smile for the camera. That's another Plat Chat guarantee. Okay, San Francisco Shock, 100% winning, 100% winning. And thank you, Craig, for the reminder that Shock signed Mikey, because otherwise, I don't know whether we ever got to that one. Already, the interaction is paying off. Yeah. Already, the interaction is paying off.
Thank you for live building a run-off show.
Thank you,
because
Craig.
we don't do it.
Yeah, I honestly forgot about that because just as a quick aside, I don't know exactly what his purpose is going to be with the Shock. So, you know, that especially not in this upcoming meta. Don't know what he's going to be doing. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, previously, he played like a lot of ball
main tank.
In the past?
He's a main tank player that also played a lot of ball, but like ball is not his forte necessarily. He plays main tanks. So
let's move on to the next game, though. This is honestly another interesting one. It's Houston Outlaws playing against the Washington Justice this week. I have gone for Washington.
Get him. I
don't like this.
No, it's not. I don't even.
I don't even want to hear what you have to say.
I don't even want to know. Don't even know what the reason is.
Just move on.
I can see,
Bren.
No, because it's always this period of time. This always happens with Washington Justice. This is the script that they adhere to every single year. Is regular season, they show signs of life early on, just before something, just before the tournaments. And so this is around the time where they're going to have a dominant performance against the teams they play against. And then they're going to shit the bed.
We'll predict them next week.
It always follows this narrative. It always follows this narrative. They're gonna look good this week.
Sometimes they look terrible at the beginning of a new meta, and then they pick it up. Sometimes it goes the other way around. Frankly, I don't think there's any way of figuring out which games Washington are going to win. But worth a punt. I mean, I think in the chaos of a brand new meta, there's a chance for something. My biggest question is, what are they going to do with their tank situation? Are they just going to keep playing Mag Winston? Because that will make me cry. But surely, if it's a poke meta, they cannot continue playing Mag Winston. They can't. They cannot play.
Oh, they can.
They can't.
Scott.
Oh,
they can't.
They can, and they will.
Their front office is going to get fired. Everyone will get fired. The Pre will get fired. The coaches will get fired. Everyone will get fired if they run Mag Winston in a poke meta.
What?
I mean, I think besides that point, anyways, it doesn't really matter to me if Justice is going to like randomly show up, because I've adopted a strategy of a long-term investor where I'm going to dollar cost average my disbelief in them. So I'm going to make sure that like even when I know they might win a couple games in there, I'm just going to predict them every single time, knowing eventually the market will win and they will lose.
Yeah.
So it's just going to work out to where I'm mostly right with them.
No, that is reasonable. You've taken the Warren Buffett approach. I'm a day trader. I'm trying to ride the highs and dodge the lows. Okay, let's move on to the next game. There really was nothing more to discuss in that one. It was just a mad punt. It's Dallas Atlanta is the next one coming up. Okay, we didn't go for Dallas when they played against the Shock, but now we're all going Dallas. What
There's
are we
no
doing
way.
here?
I'm going to put a caveat here. I swapped my pred last second morning up. I had Atlanta, and then I was like, I don't know. Like, it's so hard because like at the same time, I don't think Dallas is going to be bad is the thing. I think Dallas is still going to be an excellent team. And I still believe in their coordination. I'm just not sure about their overall player rotation. While Atlanta, I'm like, okay, I think their player rotation for this meta is going to be pretty solid. Like probably, but then also like that. I don't think Hawk has a good Sigma, but his signature hero is Diva. You know,
I'm swapping.
And so I don't know.
Kurt, can you put me as an Atlanta fan if you wouldn't mind? Listen, your points about Dallas earlier and the whole discussion about Dallas v Shock. Okay, they're gonna have. Sure, they don't have the same level of like backline is going to gigapound in the same way that Shock do, but this is a meta where surely Kai should just diff Dallas.
That's my thinking as well. It's like Kai dicked on people in the kickoff clash. Like he's just so good at what he does. And we go back to what we just talked about with Gurio. I think Gurio, he's fine, but if you're the Dallas Fuel, you're trying to be a championship caliber team, Gurio is fine is not good enough. I think for this team, and I think I'm worried that Atlanta could, as I said, you put Hawk on Sigma, you got Kai on Widow. They could definitely do it.
Okay, fuck it. I'm swapping. I'm
waffling. I know. I'll stay with Dallas. I believe in you.
Okay, swap me. I had if there was a registry editor and Excel sheet that we put these in beforehand, you could see mere like 20 minutes before the show went live, like an hour. I swapped my pred. I'm going back. I'm waffling.
This extra work.
I'm flip flopping.
I know.
You guys are flip flopping.
I know we are flip flopping like crazy, but there's no world in which this should be decisive one way or the other.
No.
There's no world in which Dallas Shock should have been decisive to the Shock. I think someone should have taken a punt.
Someone
on
should have,
Dallas,
but
I
don't think so. Wow. Yeah.
God Almighty. Okay,
There's going to be some
For what
teams
it's
that are-
worth, the Shock matchup was the only one that was universal, including Johnny. Picked
Jonathan
London.
as well went
Johnny
for Shock.
picked London, and he picked
Jonathan picked
London.
he picked Houston. Or
Yeah.
Okay.
no, never mind.
Yeah.
He
And
picked
I went
Atlanta
Washington.
this game.
Right. So, okay. Let's move
Yeah,
on to the... go on. Sorry.
No, I got nothing else.
All right, let's move on to the one after this. It's Toronto Defiant, now without KDG, playing against the Florida Mayhem. Where is this one going?
Oh, Josh, you're off the goop.
What's going on with that, huh?
you?
What is it? Are you
What's going
okay?
on with that one?
Huh? Hello? You just throw up in your mouth?
No. I had forgotten I made this one. And I'm trying to think what my reasoning could have been.
So I was considering going Toronto.
But I can't
Actually,
think what my reasoning was.
I thought I went Toronto, but I guess I went Florida.
I think I was just straight gooping. I don't know. I don't know.
So
what
my
this
logic was that it's always the biggest kind of disturbance within a team that a team suddenly sees a resurgence in performance. And so...
Is there any reason for me to have predicted the Defiant? There must have been something. There must have been something.
tea
Come on,
leaves?
come on, you bloody egg. Come up with a reason. I can't think of a thing.
Was it logic saying about time? Was that it? Was that the defining factor?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know what
Was it
has
you forgetting
possibly persuaded me
Sermajed?
to do this. Mayhem just have to win this one. Kurt, can I go Mayhem, please?
Oh my god.
There's just no.
Did anyone else go Toronto?
I don't think Johnny would have done it.
No one?
No. There's just no reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why I've done it.
That's why they're going to win.
I don't remember doing it, but I did it, apparently. So, all right, well, okay, Florida. No, I think Florida is just the better team here. Just don't smile. Don't smile. I've gone and done it. All right, NYXL play against Paris as the final game. Now, this is a game at the bottom of the barrel. This is a game.
What? Are you guys off the goop? There is no way everybody predicted NYXL. You guys are insane.
NYXL backline is going to be so much better in this meta.
Yes.
So much better. Do I believe in Kellen? Not as much, but Yaki and Flora should also be really good. They're gonna play some decent stuff. I don't know what Yaki's really gonna play. They'll probably play like, dude, knowing New York, they'll probably play Brig Zen and just be giving packs to Yaki on Tracer and try and just fuck their comp up. So
you know when I said earlier about Toronto, like there's always when there's a big turbulence within the team, that's when you see the highest peaks. Yeah, I think Vulcan was the stability, the anchor within this team, and now that Vulcan's gone, it's like holy shit, the power levels are fucking reaching maximum capacity, but it's like they've overloaded the engines to escape from the fleet behind them, and now they can only do it for like one game, and it's going to be this game, and after that it blows up.
There's one person who is going to end this game, and it's going to be Khan on the Zenyatta. Khan is going to put the New York Excelsior into the ground. He's like, I genuinely believe he's one of the best Zenyatas we have in the league.
Khan is a great player.
Oh, what do you mean? Top 5? Top 10?
I'll put top 5. Yeah, I'm going to say top 5. I think Khan is... He just as Zenyatta is one of the best in the league.
Okay, so
in top 5.
You've got Violet, you've got Izayaki, you've got Shu, you've got who else are we putting in the top 5 here off the top of my head?
I mean, you could theoretically, depending on the performances go, like you have Finn available to you, you have Fielder, you got like.
Yeah, see, we don't.
I'm missing some other cracked Zen.
Fielder had a great Zen. Fielder had a great Zen.
Khan, I've said this before. Khan gives me Jonak vibes of 2018 NYXL. He just does so much work. It's not like he's mopping up. He is the one opening fights. He is the one getting the first picks. He is always putting in so much work. His Zen, every time he played it against somebody on Circuit Royale this season, and it was ridiculous. And I think he's going to do the same thing to the NYXL, and this is going to be their comfort.
His Zenyatta is insane. His mechanics actually are, on a pure mechanics level, he is an insanely top talented player. It's just he has dumb brain. So like it's just that like, but he does have insane mechanics. It's sort of like Majed. When I'm watching Majed, I'm like, God damn, his mechanics are incredible. And then I'm watching him like int furiously. So I'm like, this is crazy. so that's the problem I have with Khan. And also, but theoretically in a meta like this, he could be more, his power level could rise because there's like less pressure on the back line.
It's going to be so funny watching like Majed and Khan running towards people to kick them. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. These kind of players are going to be like, dude, if we had Jonak in the league, he'd be running into people's backlines. Poke me, just kicking them around the map.
I just think that New York, if they are not better this meta, like if they don't get any better this meta, I want to distill this team into a chemical solution and put it into a lab and figure out what's wrong with it. I want to know at the molecular level what has happened with this team if they're not better in this meta. I need to see on the atoms. I need to measure the angstrom links in the fucking molecule. I need to know what's happening with this team if they're not better in this meta.
My question is, what does Yaki play in this meta for this team?
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about that. I don't know.
Yaki's played hit scan in the past, but they don't need to because they have Flora. He can play Hanzo for them. He can play.
We're probably, if we're going into a range hit scan poke meta, it's probably going to be like Hanzo Widow.
His Hanzo's good. His Hanzo is, I mean, granted, BQB played most of the Hanzo back in the day, but I've seen him play Hanzo. He's good. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine.
Okay.
I think they might even end up leaning into the Tracer. I was serious when I said they might lean into playing like Zen Brig and just have him play Tracer and play like.
It's possible. Yeah, you could play Tracer.
Zens are gonna roll Tracers. Like think about that 25 health, especially with the damage reduction of the Tracer pistols. like it's going to be hard to kill a Zen on your own, especially if you go. If you go Tracer, they're just going to go Brig, and then you're playing against a Brig.
I mean,
Zen.
also
Brig Zen.
There are some
Yeah,
other
that
options.
just
There are
seems
all
impossible.
sorts of other options though that you could be playing. Like you maybe like you have Yaki roll out on like Echo a couple times and swap, and then he goes Hanzo, and like I think there are options.
Echo against
Our game plan is play Echo to swap.
That's very common for a lot of maps where you roll out an Echo to potentially win or a Pharaoh to win a first fight, and then you swap later. You know, you just roll it till you.
Yeah.
You. So.
Okay, well, intriguing. We had some mad predictions here. Just some mad predictions. What did Jonathan go for in that final game? I'm wondering if he went for the punt as well.
No, he went for Paris.
He went for Paris? Okay, all right. Well, we'll see. There's going to be a lot of interesting stuff with this, potential new meta. Okay, it is time for our segment of the week that Bren just waits for. He's so delighted to get to it. Jonathan, I'm afraid you're not winning this week. It's so sad.
Sorry.
Even though you've had a momentous life event, you can't win Bren's
You
player
didn't
of
win,
the week.
except you did. Everyone won. Johnny won a couple of weeks ago. In fact, I don't know how long. I've
Don't
lost track of
get
time.
him started.
I'm not going to get started on this one, but listen, if you got married, you have the award. If you're engaged, you have the award. If you are in the future and you will get married in 100 years, 200 years, when the planets and the borders of the countries have collided, when the stars are in the far distance, when the human race has scattered beyond the reaches, beyond our sight lines, when we are out in space and time, when we are existing in rings around moons and people are getting married. Because marriage is a concept that humans across the world, doesn't matter, have been defined and aligned in doing. A union between two people, a union between two people across the world. Doesn't matter where you started in the beginning. It doesn't matter.
I don't even know what you
existed.
said. Could you
I'm
just
lost.
shut the
Player of the week is okay. I'm going to shut up.
Who's your player of the week? There were no players that played this week.
There were no players to play this week. It makes it pretty hard to give it to a player. It makes it really difficult to give it to a player. I am not giving it to.
Where did this come from?
This looks like it's something. This is from a guy. There's a dude that replies to every one of my tweets with that image of me from Envy photoshopped in various ways. And that's probably when I congratulated Johnny off of his engagement.
Interesting.
I imagine.
I am going to give. I'm going to give the player of the week this week to the Overwatch fans that have just been sticking to it. The Overwatch fans that have been staying with the game. Dude, I met a bunch of you guys at the event. And honest to God, the most common thing that people would say when they came up to me was like, thanks for coming out. Thanks for showing up. You are broken people. It was a pleasure to meet you all. But God bless you all for sticking by the game and enjoying it and not giving in to the doomium and enjoying the game for what it is. You don't listen. Hide the viewership numbers. Doesn't matter. Don't worry about your game, about the health of it. Just enjoy it for what it is. Just take life on a day-to-day basis. I'm telling you.
Take the good times.
Yeah.
While
Don't worry about the future. Don't even think about the future. I don't think about what I'm going to do next month.
Pure present hedonism.
I go day to day, week to week. Now, a question
Don't plan for the future. Don't buy groceries. just exist. And when you starve to death, remember what Bren said. You had some good times.
Yep. And that's my player of the week.
I mean,
player
if you
of
think
the
about
week
it,
is
good
the
with
entire
the bad
long-suffering
is-
fan base.
Yes.
That's like a marriage.
There's
right?
not that
Like,
many
the good
people
and the
these
bad.
days.
Yeah.
So if they've been sticking with it, is that they're like married to the game? So really, does that count?
No,
they're taking it
no,
good
because
health
they're
and in
They're
bad?
not married to the game. They're winning it because listen, they've been here since day. Actually, there was a lot of fans I met who were like, I don't actually know you. I've been watching the game since the start of this year. They were like, yeah.
There was a woman who was banging the drum in the Dallas
Yeah.
homestand, the kickoff clash, and she was like, "Oh, I just started watching this year." I was like, "What?
Yeah.
Who? How?"
So shout out to the fans. Shout out to the fans. You guys, listen.
You guys are killing it.
You guys are killing it, but also multiple people came up to me being like, "Thank you for coming."
Yeah.
Like it was like, yeah, I don't know.
It's a funeral.
Yeah, like it felt like a funeral.
It's not a funeral. It's not
It felt like a funeral, though. It made it feel like a funeral. They came up to me and it was like they were surprised that I was there.
Yeah. Well, it is a bit surprising because you don't work at it anymore.
But where do we begin with this? Where do we begin with this? Anything I work in, it's a soul-sucking job. It's a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Anything I'm following? No interest at all.
Okay, when you're not on Plat Chat, you don't turn up to the Plat Chat episode.
What do you mean? Occasionally I'm watching it if it falls within my morning routine.
But you don't turn up to the set.
Why would I do that?
Well,
Just loiter around and just shout stuff off camera.
that's what you did at the kickoff clash. You loitered around and shouted stuff at the cameras.
Very
You
drunk
did
at the
do
kickoff.
that.
I was shit-faced every moment of me being. I'm like shaking, like rubbing shoulders with some big suits, and I'm like, dude, I can barely stand. I can barely function. I've been drinking this at like 10 a.m. Anyway, Josh,
Should we end the show?
host the show.
Okay.
End it.
Well-
Pose a question to the people.
Yeah, it's the end of the show. It's the first time that you can comment, and I'd normally ask a question and get some of your input, but that's not what we're doing right now. Jonathan just got engaged. You're gonna write in the comment some version of congratulations, Mr. Reinforce and Steph. Okay, that's what you're gonna write. You're gonna congratulate the happy couple. So go and do that. Subscribe to our channel and stuff.
Follow the Twitter.
Follow the Twitter. We'll do better at interacting with you next episode because
Maybe.
It'll
No
be working.
guarantees.
Hey, we ran a couple of polls and we talked to a couple of people.
did?
Listen,
We
And
did?
we turned super chat on at the final 10 minutes.
yeah, we're making inroads here. We're making inroads. We'll catch you next time though for episode 134. Make sure you write that in the comments. See you then. Bye.